Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that was a powerful story. And I have heard many stories like that in the lead up to this vote here today. But, Mr. Speaker, the powerful anecdotes of one person and the consent of one person cannot stand for the consent of another person. And if there are women who feel unsafe, if there are women who feel like their space has become not private, then we should listen to those women. And just because a small segment of the population would like those policies to accommodate them over women doesn't mean that we here today can do that. So, Mr. Speaker, for us, and I pause because my colleagues are walking out as I give this speech. People are clapping in the gallery for their walking out. And Mr. Speaker, I think that illustrates exactly why I got up here today. I could have quietly voted my conscience, could have followed the party line, but Mr. Speaker, again, the consent of one person cannot stand for the consent of another. And just because one person is comfortable with a transgender woman being in the bathroom with them or playing sports with them or being in a prison with them doesn't mean that another woman is. And these issues do not have to cause violence. These conversations can be nuanced, and we can have conversations about treating each other with respect and humanity. And putting in place policies that say that women who were born women deserve a space to themselves, whether that be the bathroom or sports or the locker room or prisons, is not transphobic. And
what does it mean to take a stand against true evil? What does it mean to stand against something so wrong and so viciously against reality itself? What does it mean that someone can, when someone stands with such conviction and such strength, especially when it goes directly against that which has been fully adopted as normal by the powers within the Democrat Party? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all to a very special episode of Apostate Radio. Of course, this is episode 26. And I am here. This is, of course, I am Isaiah Carter. Glad to be here with you another week. Coming to you for now from uptown, the boogie down Bronx. But things could be changing a bit. With me, as always, is my man, my brother, who we might actually have ended up, we might just put a little less distance between us.
Oh,
CT's finest, Chavez. What's up, brother?
You're gonna move really uptown.
Oh God!
By the end of it,
bro.
I'm good, brother. How you doing? I know you got. Sounds like you got a little bit of upheaval, but I am excited for our guest today, man. We've been hoping to get him on for a while.
Yeah, man. This is what, 6 months in the making, almost.
Oh yeah, I think February maybe he came on onto our radar or something like that.
Yeah, we. What we'll do.
The Korean.
Yeah,
my notorious.
Good to have you. Good to have you joining us tonight. And of course, shout out to you, to your missus, and
thank you,
buddy. So, anyways, let's. We've of course got stuff to take care of. Well, hold on. I got to do one thing. Because there are some things that I need to go over first. For those of you who are not familiar, I need y'all to please follow Mrs. Carter at the Notorious CRC. She's starting to make a name for herself on social media. For those of you who are already following her, and I highly recommend. Of course, I'm a little biased. I admit I'm a little biased, but I highly recommend y'all follow her. She is an incredible lady. And I'm not just saying it because I married her. But anyways, let's see. Real quick, just to take care of obviously our initial business here. You can of course follow us at Isaiah L. Carter and at Nostra Chavez. We are of course talking about the week that was and several things in between. Okay. And also you can follow the show page at Apostate Radio NY. Got all sorts of updates, got all sorts of other things that we get into there on our show page. You can also support us directly. And this is going to end up not just being an underwear fund for Nose here, because we're gotta move again, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, so we're gonna end. Yeah, so it's like you put down. I put like this. I consider it a blessing from God that when a soil is so bad that God just immediately you gotta go, gotta uproot immediately. That's how this is. So, but I'll get more.
Life is like that sometimes, brother.
Exactly. That's another story for another day. But yes, buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. Of course, that's how you can support the show directly. Also, we've got subscriptions available on for $5 a month, of course, on my on Isaiah L. Carter. Still working on some stuff, and once things finally calm down, we'll get that together. Also, last bit here, Apostate Radio merch. I've been talking about this for quite some time. My brother, shout to Josh and to Joshua Carter. I love my. He's my next to the youngest brother. He started a company not too long ago called Real Time Inc. And he's made some shirts up for us. With some Apostate Radio, with some Apostate Radio branded polos, some different T-shirts, and all the rest. So, very excited to offer that. Real Time Inc. /collections/Apostate Radio.
Real Time Inc. Your brother needs to make me some drawers, man, because my drawers are holier than the Vatican right now, as I've been saying for a long time, and not enough people are buying me a coffee. So.
Yes, exactly. We need more coffee, folks. Takes a lot of coffee.
I told you I'm starting to look like a tribal dude in Brazil or something.
Oh my god.
Bumblebee tuna going on over here.
Well, oh my god, no, you didn't.
If you understand, if you know the reference, I don't know.
Well, wait, you are old, bro.
I don't know if the good representative Jonah O Wheeler is old enough to know that reference, but I know Isaiah, I think you are.
Oh, I know I am. Shit, you see all this gray in my face? Anyways, coming to us from the wilds of New Hampshire, the live free or die state.
That's got to be the best motto, I think, right?
It has to be, dude.
In the 50 states, right? 50.
Oh yeah, 50 states. 50 states. Coming to us, of course, from the wilds of New Hampshire, from a place where I've never visited, though I hear the skiing and the mountains are lovely up there. The young man who, as we say in the hood, stood on business.
That's right.
against
100%.
something that many of us have been talking about for years. It is our honor, my honor, to bring the young man, New Hampshire State Representative Jonah Wheeler, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
My friend, we are in your debt, sir.
Yes.
No.
We are truly in your debt. We talked about you back in March.
Yeah, we've been stalking you for a while, Jonah. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of
It
course.
is the best motto, I think, to live free or die. But people, we cut it off. We cut it in half. John Stark's full quote is live free or die, for death is not the worst of evils. And I
Ooh,
think
that's even
that is a
better.
fantastic quote because, that's the spirit of America right there. We have a free nation, and freedom is better than death in some cases.
It is.
Amen to that.
I will say Connecticut has a good one too, but New Hampshire still wins. I think it's qui transulit sustinit, which means he who transplanted still sustains. That's kind of dope.
I haven't heard that before. That is
he who transplanted still sustains.
Still
here.
Still sustains.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really
Someone who that works for you, Isaiah. He who transplanted, because you might be transplanted pretty soon, still sustains.
Yeah. I mean, although you have a lot of posers in Bushwick who think themselves.
That's a good point.
That way, but
Can't use that motto. You can't use the Connecticut motto.
No.
Bushwick hipsters.
Yeah, if you drink kombucha with alcohol in it, you definitely can't use that motto. Hey,
right.
Sorry. Anyways.
So Isaiah, you're from Bushwick?
No. I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Ah.
Isaiah's from
I saw the
Amsterdam.
Maryland flag behind you.
I'm from Amsterdam.
He's from Amsterdam.
Uh-oh.
You ever watch The Wire?
You don't know the
I
wire?
I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I'm from
Baltimore, Maryland. Oh yeah.
Where they legalized drugs in a block. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
That was one of the best arcs, though. That really. The Wire is a great show. The Wire is
Great.
a great show.
Great show.
Yeah, back when David Simon wasn't a raging lunatic. I don't know what's
My
up.
friend was just telling me that the other day. We were talking about The Wire, and he said, "Well, David Simon, he's kind of gone off the rails lately." And I said, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know."
It's crazy because I actually, like, back in 2002 when they were filming it, I was towards the end, but like in 2002 when they were filming The Wire, I actually had the privilege of meeting several actors who were on the show. Like over the years, The Wire has become like something of like a staple when it comes to Baltimore. Like they know us, like we're known nationwide for Crabs, 300 Murders a Year, and The Wire. Oh, and Ray Lewis, the Baltimore Ravens. We're known for
the
that.
Ravens. Sure.
So,
Yeah. Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful city hall. Every time I drive through Baltimore, which I do often because I avoid the tolls on the 895 there, it's a beautiful city hall. It's just you look at it.
Oh, he knows.
Nice
Yes. Wait a minute. When are you in Maryland?
Well, I will drive through occasionally to go to DC, or if I'm going to Florida to visit my grandmother, I drive.
Okay.
It's just easiest to be flexible when you're in a car. If I have to go rush back to New Hampshire, I can just do that.
Wait a minute. There's no rushing back to New Hampshire in a car from Florida, kid.
Oh, well, you'd be surprised.
Oh, you know what? That's a conversation for off the air conversation.
The beauty of age and energy when you're young, you can just keep going. I gotta get there. Sleep at the rest stops for a few hours, make it in 2 days.
Wish I could remember that era in my life, man. I'm just old and about to die.
Oh, I'm at the point, dude. I'm at the point now where when I drove down to Maryland for the wedding a couple of like 3 weeks ago, I stopped at I want to say 3 rest stops because and not for myself. I mean, I had my in-laws and I had my wife in there.
People gotta go to the bathroom and
bathroom. Sometimes like when you're on the road, because like I was like the primary driver for that trip. And so and so like it was a way to kind of like get them, because when you live in New York and you don't drive very often, or at least you try not to, because because the tolls are crazy. We've got a very robust public transit system, stuff like that. So so when you're not used to driving long distance on a regular basis, it can kind of throw you off, but so you need to stop every now and then, and also obviously for bathrooms and stuff. But anyways, we didn't invite you on the show to talk about like
rest stops.
road trip. Although but before we get started, we always ask those of the people like our guests who have been on the show, who have never been on the show, we open up the floor to them and just give you a chance to introduce yourself to our audience and let them know who you are and what you do. So
and what do you identify as, Jonah?
God.
Well, my name is Jonah O. Wheeler. I am wearing a white T-shirt. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, you don't. Oh, no.
I hope some people get that. But no, my name is Jonah O. Wheeler, and I'm from as you mentioned, the sticks of New Hampshire. I'm from the Monadnock region of our state, the southern part of the state, Peterborough, New Hampshire, and I was born and raised here. I like to say I was born in a bathtub in Keene, although it was a home birth. It wasn't as bad as it sounds when I say that, but it is funny when I say that. And I am not good at giving introductions about myself, but I can say that I am an elected official here in the state of New Hampshire. I serve the district of Hillsborough's 33rd, Hillsborough County's 33rd district, and I've done that for the last 2 terms in the legislature. I am privileged to serve in the body which still uses its same chambers, which was built in 1819. It's the longest running legislature in its same body. And it is a legislature which, if you count the provincial government years of the royal province of New Hampshire, which existed before the United States Constitution, has been around since 1680. So we are, I'm privileged to stand on the shoulders of giants in serving on such a privileged and austere body, and I do it as best I can as a 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old with a lot of vision and ideas and ambition, and I'm a glib child, but someone who has gone through a lot and decently enough mature to where the constituents of my district voted for me and allowed me to serve in office for them for the last just about 3 years. And that has been a privilege. I went to office under the vision of making a legislature work for all of the citizens in the state of New Hampshire and not just the business interests. We have legislatures across the state, across the country, who are more interested in their political ambition, their self-interests, their own pocketbooks, and the wealthy donors who are going to get them to those next positions, instead of the constitutional role which they were elected to serve. And that constitutional role is a very critical and important thing. Campaigning is fun. It's fun to get out there, and it's an intense thing. It's a grueling thing. But once you're elected to serve, the campaigning should stop. And even if we have 2-year terms, which is a short thing, but it's also, 2 years is a long time, although it is a short time. And once the campaigning stops, you should stop campaigning. You should start governing. And whether you're in the minority party or in the majority party, you're elected to serve on a committee. You're elected to serve on the House floor. You're elected to speak to legislation. You're elected to read the bills. You're not elected to just take legislation from lobbyists. You're not elected to just serve the interests of the wealthy donors of your state. You're elected to serve the constituents who are dealing with rising property taxes that are pushing them out of their house. You're elected to deal with the constituents who are tenants, who have very little rights as tenants up against landlords, slumlords, who choose to rent out homes, which if an inspector inspected them would be condemned. You are elected to serve the constituents of the state of New Hampshire and not just the business interests, which have the money to be able to spend all the time that the lobbyists they pay have to spend in the legislature. So I ran for office as a very ambitious activist, young 19-year-old who had been privileged as an activist to go out and organize different rallies and events and canvass and all the different things that activists do here in the state, and also testify in the legislature. And in testifying in the legislature, I got to see that it is a body where there are all these problems, but it is also the most transparent legislature in the 50 states of our country. Every bill in the New Hampshire legislature gets a hearing in committee, a public hearing where all of the members of the public are noticed and can come testify before the committee on the bill, and they can say whatever they want to say, unless the committee chairman chooses to gavel them down. But there's often not time limits, and there's often not speech limits either. People are able to say whatever crazy wackadoo thing that they want to say, and they're also able to come and testify on their story on how whatever particular piece of legislation they're there to testify on is going to affect their life. And that core principle of New Hampshire, where every bill gets a public hearing, every bill gets a vote on the floor, every bill gets heard in the legislature, means that all 400 of us, which is a national joke oftentimes, but is actually a very special and critical thing to a citizens' republic where people are represented. Every 3,500 people in the state of New Hampshire gets one representative in the legislature, which means that you are basically neighbors with your state legislature. You can go and knock on their door, call them on the phone, email them, or talk to them at the post office when you see them. They're there in community if they're doing their job, and they're answering their messages if they're doing their job. And that means that we have an opportunity to actually build a legislature which works for the people. And so I'll end this little monologue by saying that I have been privileged to be able to bring that vision of a legislature which works for all of us to a reality, as I have served in the last 3 years of the legislature. And yes, there's been moments of controversy which make me a little bit of a topic online or something like that. I don't have any social media on my phone or anything like that, so I don't really see those, but I check in every now once and again when I make my posts online, and I'm aware of it. I see, and I answer every email, message, and call, so I know. But nonetheless, the controversy is a part of the job. You're elected as a punching bag. You're elected to serve your constituents, and you can't just vote based off of what might be politically the best thing for you to get reelected in a primary. You're there to serve for the 2 years that you were elected to serve in. And if people choose to elect you again, if you choose to run, then that's the benefit of serving your constituents. But you can't just vote based off of the political winds of your party, whatever party that may be, and expect that you're doing your job. So thank you for having me on. And
now, Congressman, I do have to call you out on one thing.
Please.
Because at the beginning, you said that you were not great at introductions, and that was one of the best ones we've had on our show.
Oh, thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
It was a robust and thorough introduction.
I must say,
I can talk. That's for sure.
You're in the right place. That's all we do too, man.
So I was impressed with you because you're not even, if I might ask your age, you're not even 25 yet, correct?
I'm 22 years old. My birthday is March 1st, so I'll be 23 in March.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
2003. I know.
Don't even ask me what I was doing at 22 years old, man.
Oh my God.
I hear that a lot.
So okay, we do have a lot to discuss, and we're gonna take our time with this.
One day I want to grow up and be like you, Jonah. That's my point.
So Congressman, what made you want to get into the political arena in the first place? I mean, at such a young age. I mean, you could be doing just about anything. at like at your age? I mean, are you like, did you go to like, are you still like, are you in college? Like, are you going back to school? Like, I have to kind of, I'm just very much curious.
No, I'm not in college. I graduated from high school in 2021 and ran for office in 22. I
Wow.
ran for office because I had a very
Wait
trying.
a second, John. I gotta say something real quick.
Please.
So you never went to college?
No.
That would explain why you have so much sense, man.
That would. Oh
That
my
really
No
does.
comment on that.
If you went to college for 4 years, I mean, you might have voted differently that day. Let me tell you.
Oh my
Go ahead,
God.
I'm
No
sorry, I
comment.
interrupted.
No. Listen,
What I say is the legislature is my college. We're there, if you're there full time and you're doing the work and you're reading the bills and you're participating in the different committees, you're getting a full.
Oh, I bet.
You're getting a full spectrum knowledge.
The real world,
It's not a
man.
degree.
it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, so basically you're kind of like a blue collar politician. Well, I shouldn't say politician, but you're a blue collar, politician in some ways. What made you get into this?
Well, that's part of it. I don't go around saying that because it's, I don't want to make it a gimmick. I'm the working class politician, but I do say often that I try to represent the working class in the legislature. I don't try. I do. I represent the working class in the legislature. I'm a union representative. I support the unions in the legislature. I'm somebody that believes in an economy that works for all of us here in the state, where people can work one job and not be worried about paying their bills, where a lot of people in the country right now are working 2, 3, 4 jobs and still underwater or just about.
Yeah.
And that's a very, I had no interest. The honest answer is I had no interest in going to college and playing the game for 4 years when the country that I love and the state which is my home was in such a dire place. I, at 19 years old, had been privileged to do several years of political organizing and community organizing around different issues in the state, wages and healthcare and all these different, bringing people's stories together and then collecting them and organizing different rallies where people told their story and where stories of the pain that they were going through from the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield's joke of an insurance system and their lack of care could be told, where they had never been before, or where their working conditions at their job could be told to a larger audience where they never had been before, bringing community together, and where one person speaks up on an issue where they think it's just me. I'm feeling this all myself. I'm the only one dealing with this debt. I'm the only one dealing with this insurance craziness. But then they get on the stage and they talk about it, and people realize, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with that. We can work on this issue. We can deal with this. And we built community through that. I mean, I ran across the state with all these different people in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, building all this different organization and trying to build community and participating in the legislature as a part of that, testifying in committee. And I, in the legislature, saw that there were very few people who actually, like you said, were blue collar representatives. There were people who said that they were and voted pretty decently with the working class, but there was nobody out there who was truly trying to build a legislature which all people could participate in, where working people could serve, where working people were represented. And I think you have to have people who have gone through it firsthand, who know the struggle of meeting rent each month, who know the struggle of finding a healthcare provider for your grandmother or your mother when they're going through a hard time, who know the struggle of the system and its brutality towards people who don't have wealth and power. And I could not just stand idly by and talk about it in a political science class, which plenty of people told me to do. Oh, you're a good talker. You should go to political science. You should go to this. You should go to that. And I said, you know what? We've talked about these issues for so long. We've sat at all these dinners and complained about them. We're at these rallies and we're all talking about them. Why don't we get a bunch of us to run for office and actually try to effectuate the change that we're looking to see, instead of just whining about it on the streets or or making posts about it on Instagram or doom scrolling online. Let's actually take to the streets. Let's put action, not just in like let's start holding a sign. Let's actually do something. Let's go to the legislature and represent the principles which we believe in as working people. And that's what I did alongside a whole host of other people who did it across the state. Some of them got elected, some of them didn't. And I was privileged to be a part of that. And it's an interesting job. It certainly is. And I could have done, you're right, many things. I think about that to myself some days. I'm like, what am I doing here? But it is a job where I think you need people who are a little trepidatious about the fact that they're there, but still willing to do it, still willing to make the sacrifice to get it done. And that's what I did.
Wow. So what has your I guess your ideological journey been like? I mean, because the thing is, like, when you start talking about being pro-union and pro-labor and stuff like that, a lot of people would associate that automatically with progressive politics, right? They would automatically go, oh, well, that's something that leftists or, you know, progressives or even they generally associate stuff like labor with the left. However, with the advent of Donald Trump and how his movement really brought the focus of the right of conservatives, of a lot of like conservative minded people, it's getting them to refocus a little bit, at least from what I've seen. It's gotten them to refocus a bit on labor. So since we're on the subject, because labor and unions are important to me, I am a member of a union. Like, what is your stance on this? Like, and what has your political journey been like, the ideological journey been like at such a young age?
Well, it's an interesting question. I do not view myself as an ideologue. I see myself as a legislator, as somebody who has to take all the different opinions of the ideologues and try to siphon them into a vote that I take on the legislative floor. Mm-hmm. But my own personal ideological journey, which we all have our own ideologies personally, mm-hmm. has looked, I really got invested in politics. I was always interested in history. I read, at a very young age, and I started reading nonfiction at a very young age. I wasn't always super interested in fiction, although I read plenty of good fiction. But I was mostly interested in history. And I had always been interested in politics, but it was the advent of Senator Sanders' campaign in 2015 against the Clinton machine and the energy that brought to the people, the populist energy that was exhibited by no-name senator from Vermont who came out of the woodwork and talked about the healthcare crises that the country was going through, the labor crises that the country was going through, the trade crises that the country was going through, issues that he'd been talking about for 30 years in a consistent and honest way. And people, they thought he was a crazy old socialist from Vermont and didn't necessarily agree with him on 100% of the issues, but he was an honest character who came out of the woodwork and stood up against a machine of great power and great political prowess. It's hard to underestimate the capture that the Clinton campaign had on the Democratic Party going into that primary campaign. She basically was able to buy out the party, which was in a mountain of debt from the 8 years prior, and nobody with their right mind in the Senate or the House or anyone who could potentially run for president was thinking to themselves, I'm going to run for president. And Bernie, who thought to himself, well, Clinton shouldn't go unopposed. She shouldn't just be appointed with this role. She's someone who has participated in the business classes takeover of this country over the last 8 years, where the people voted for hope and change and got a bailout of Wall Street. They voted for hope and change and got brutal war in Libya and a whole host of other places where they thought, oh, we're going to end the wars with Obama. We're going to do all these things. And Obama ended up being a little bit of a charlatan on those levels. And people weren't happy about it. And Bernie was somebody who knew that and was willing to stand up when nobody else would. He begged Elizabeth Warren to, and he stood up when nobody else would. That political courage, that willingness to stand up against the machine, despite any of my personal gripes with Bernie now, which I have plenty. I'm not necessarily a fan of Senator Sanders right now, but the courage that he had in 2015 to stand up to the system showed me and a whole host of other people that it's possible to actually make change. And I started there, and Trump got elected, and I wasn't very happy about it. I was, somebody who I'm not going to say I called it. I was in the 8th grade, but I was certainly somebody who knew that the Clinton campaign was not soaring to victory like the punditry class and the politicos of the state wanted to make it seem like she was. She didn't soar to victory because she is the person who I just illustrated that she was. She stood up for the business classes. She was phony, and people looked right through it and knew who she was and voted for the guy who played Monopoly with buildings in the 1980s and ran for president, not expecting to win the presidency. Nobody expected Trump to win the presidency, including the man himself. And
I know I certainly didn't.
I think that is certainly a cause for the factor for a lot of the things that we saw in those 4 years. And I'm somebody who, to cut it short and sweet, I'm somebody who understands why Trump has been elected in the times that he has been. People are angry. People are tired of a Democratic Party which pretends to support the working class while doing the exact opposite. They're tired of a two-party system which pretends to be for America and for the Constitution and for our people while shelling millions and billions of dollars to foreign nations for wars that have no impact on our daily lives here in the country, while our bridges, our roads, our schools, our infrastructure, our nation falls apart. And I think that people vote for Trump because they see him as a way to cudgel the system back into the place that they thought it was when they were growing up. I don't know if he is. I think that he's not necessarily the person who is, I don't envy anybody who would be president in this moment with the shifting world that we're in with tech and the AI, that the power that the people who are in the growing industries in this world and in the JP Morgans and the banking class of this world is unimaginable and almost broaches the power of the presidency, the Congress, and the judiciary.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. So we're in an interesting moment in this country where private industry almost has more power than the government. And I think that Donald Trump isn't necessarily equipped or aware of the shifting world that's happening underneath him. And I don't think there's really anybody on the national level who's truly speaking to this shifting world, which we're all seeing on our phone screens and in our everyday lives. And so my political ideology, honestly, Isaiah, has not changed very much. I still believe in a country that works for all people. That's the vision that I've always had. And the policy issues that I believe in, I'm pretty consistently of those beliefs. There have been a few of those issues where at one point I said, I don't care about those social issues or anything like that. That's all just a fake debate, where being in the legislature has caused me to look at both sides of the issue and come to a conclusion which ended up being a little controversial, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Oh, but yeah, we are.
Though I don't, maybe this is just my own egotistical justification of those decisions, but I don't see those as any change in my own political ideology. I see them as an affirmation of the political ideology, which I believe in. Protecting people from the whims of industry is a core belief of what I believe public service is about. And the whims of culture is part of that. And sometimes I think we can go too far in our
We most certainly
I
can.
think some of these things have gone too far, and I think a lot of people believe that. And I think that the medicalization of children is the perfect example of that. Something that's gone too far. And I don't think, the medicalization of children or the few pieces of legislation on gun control, which I voted against, or some of the medical freedom bills, which I supported, which tried to go after the pharmaceutical industry. Those are the three issues which people really have Jonah Wheeler's a Republican. He's a sellout because he supported those three issues. But you know what? I see those three issues as core democratic values. I see those three issues as a part of not necessarily just democratic values, but common sense values. They're nonpartisan issues where it's not about the Republican who sponsored it. It's about the text of the legislation. And so I don't see it as a political change.
I think people will look at that legacy of yours already, and I think that integrity that you showed in those decisions is going to pay off in the long run. And obviously, it seems like it's paying off already. But I think that record is going to, people are going to know that you mean what you say and you say what you mean, and you're not going to go along with the party like you said in that speech that we played earlier. And I agree with you. I mean, the medicalization of children is one way to put it. Another way to put it is, sterilizing kids with puberty blockers potentially, and all these other health problems that come with, like weakening of bones and all these different things that can happen. If you think about it, before all this stuff happened, I mean, 20 years ago, I think a lot of people would think you're crazy to do something like that to kids if you brought that up. Like puberty blockers, like what, for any reason, unless it was life or death, seriously life or death. It's like you're going to block somebody's puberty for how long? And then, we can talk about potentially castrating them or cutting off their breasts. This is sounds absolutely crazy if you think about it. Take a step out of the bubble for a second and think about it. And I think that was, I'm sure that was going through your head with some of this. I know what you mentioned was the reasoning was that you wanted to protect women in their spaces and women in sports, I believe, as well as what you said, but certainly in their spaces. And that's another one, because as we know as men with common sense, some men, if they can they can gain entry to a place, a private space of women and girls, just by saying, I'm a woman. That's all. So you have to let me in legally. I'm a woman now. Like, I could do that right now. And it's like, do you think there's not any of them that might be a pervert or a predator? Like, it's zero, absolutely zero. We already know the perverts and predators exist. So, and we know, feminists will teach everybody you can't trust men. Men are evil, toxic, whatever, or many men are. It's like, so what happens to those men who can just say, I'm a woman now, and that's all I have to say? It's just like, how does this not enter into your mind? And I remember seeing some of the ladies, especially mainly ladies, who were arguing with you. And she said, I remember one lady said, do you vote your conscience or do you vote with your constituents? And I'm just thinking, when I heard that, I'm like, do you think that everybody in every one of Jonah's constituents agrees with you? Like, that's what your implication is? Every single one of them agrees with you on this ridiculous, controversial topic that shouldn't even be, it should have never even been broached. It's just ridiculous to me.
That's the real point. The fact that we're even having this discussion in the legislature is crazy. And people who say, oh, this is your priority. No. I didn't sponsor this bill. I spoke on the bill because I gave a controversial vote. And I knew that in giving a controversial vote, I would want to speak to it so that people would know about it. And you're right. The people who said, oh, are you representing your constituents or your conscience? I'm representing my constituents. And that is the job of being a legislator. You're not there to represent one section of your constituents.
Exactly.
You're there to represent the minority views and the majority's views. And you're there to try to find as much as you can. You won't always succeed, but a balance between those two views. And that is what New Hampshire's HB 148 tried to do. I mean, it's not Utah's legislation, which legislated bathrooms in women's spaces based off of appearance, which I think broaches very dangerous territory that could result in
I can see that.
Women who aren't, typically,
some women have a beard and stuff like that, or they're bigger,
There
or
are
a little bit more masculine. Yeah, that's can be really.
I mean, part of this is a
really
criticism of both sides. Women aren't bimbos, and I think there's a lot of conversation on both sides of here, which makes women, you have to have this hourglass body and long hair, and you got to look like a model, and that is not what the majority of women in this world look like. And so legislating based off of appearance is something that can result in dangerous territory. But
I mean,
spaces.
That's how I'm sorry, not to cut you off. But that's how we got into this problem in the first place. It's because everybody wanted to focus on quote unquote appearances, and because I said
exactly, absolutely. I mean, and that's what the legislation tried to affirm. There is a material reality of the world that has to be recognized in this conversation. Absolutely. Yes, we want to protect all people, whether you're a man wearing a dress or a woman wearing a t-shirt, which I don't know if that's exactly feminine or masculine. That is to say that whatever you're wearing, whoever you are, you should be respected. But there is a material reality of the world, and segregated spaces based off of sex is not, as I said to my friend on the House floor who chose to say, you're supporting the new Jim Crow of the world. I said segregated spaces based off of sex is significantly different than spaces segregated based off of race.
So people don't know their history.
We're gonna talk about that guy in the 9 o'clock hour, because as a black man to sit there and listen to that white boy tell you what you needed to do and explaining to you what Jim Crow was, it did a little something to me. But
I'll tell you what too, Isaiah, as a friend of a black man and a co-host of a black man, ooh man, that did a little something to me as well, man. Let me tell you.
You close enough. Just
that was a moment. That was a moment. I was really I was doing my best to maintain my composure in that moment.
Yes, you did. You did well, man. I probably would start yelling at people.
I almost did.
Let me double back. Let me double back a second, because you mentioned that you were upset with the senior senator from your own state, the Senator Bernie Sanders. I wanted to know, where have you broken with him on policy, and also, are you of the sentiment that he's kind of become a bit of an establishment shill now, because he's like you said, I mean, 10 years ago or however long, he sold himself as like this hero of the working class, talking about, well, I'm going after the millionaires and the billionaires, and then as soon as he get a little money and a couple properties,
now just the billionaires.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about the billionaires now. Like
millionaires, okay.
When I loved when RFK, during his confirmation hearings earlier this year, when RFK Jr. was like, you've taken a whole bunch of money from all over the place, and Bernie was like, wait, no, stop, like, oh, and he's looking around like it was that was hilarious. But
don't bullshit me, Bernie.
But no, that's hilarious. Sir, where have you broken with this question, New Hampshire?
Well, it's a good question. The good senator from Vermont and I, we've never met. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him, but I have gone to his rallies and things like that. I think Bernie, to generalize it, similar to my criticism of the president, although in a very different way, is just not equipped to deal with the shifting realities of the world around him. He's somebody who, in many ways, is still stuck in the 90s. He's somebody who believes that that's still the world that we're living in, and I think that's unfortunately a lot of people right now. They're not aware of the shifting cultures that exist on the television screens, the phone screens, and the computer screens. They're not aware because they're not participating in the discourse, which is changing our political conversation very rapidly every day online. And I think that results in them not being as in touch with some of the issues that people are most concerned about. And Bernie he's somebody who, I don't throw him I don't throw anybody in the trash. I don't hate anybody, but he's somebody who, when the moment matters, chooses to not have the courage to act. And I think that was most evident in 2015 and 2016 when he had a lot of, he was the one with the evidence and the ability to come out and talk about what the Democratic Party was doing behind closed doors. As a private organization, it's allowed to do it, but we as voters should have more of a conversation about what those two private organizations are doing to select, not elect, the people who are going to be the president of the United States. And Bernie went through something which represented the modern equivalent of the backroom rigging of elections that went on in the 30s and the early 20th century of this country. And he didn't do that. And he didn't do that because he was scared of the prospect of Donald Trump winning. How did that work out for him? Not very well. Not very well. Donald Trump still won, as much as he ran around the country for Hillary Clinton, doing more than almost any other of her surrogates. Her campaign staff and her, after the election, continued to write negative about him and say that he was part of the reason why she lost the election, even though her supporters in 2008 didn't support the Democratic nominee in the general election by 8%, and Bernie Sanders' supporters supported the Democratic nominee by 3 or 5%. So, by the facts, Bernie Sanders supporters are better at coming together for the Democratic nominee than the Hillary supporters were. But he didn't talk about that. He chose to just, Hillary's the best candidate. She's the best choice. I don't know how he didn't get a frog in his throat when he was saying these things that were just patently untrue. I mean, it's one thing to get out there and say she's a flawed candidate, but Trump is also flawed and we need to support her. But it's another thing to get out there and say that she's going to be the best president of our life. All these things that people were saying in 2016. That is certainly something that broke me from Bernie Sanders. And I think, the issues that we were just talking about, he's not out there standing up to the Democratic Party on some of the issues which they're going a little bit too far on. And I think that he's in a moment where people, in 2015, 20% of Trump voters said that they would have voted for Bernie Sanders in the general election. I don't think he would have those same numbers right now because he's refusing to talk about the issues of, I hate labeling it, but it's the issues of common sense that are being discussed in the American electorate right now.
80-20 issues.
Correct.
Yeah.
Immigration is another one of those issues. Senator Sanders was strong enough to talk about there's the famous Ezra Klein interview quote of his where he said open borders is a Koch brothers policy, because it is, because open borders and the allowance of undocumented workers here in the state, in the country, allows for very elite business interests to use essentially indentured servants, but at least we get our orange juice for $5 a gallon or whatever, that issue, I think, is something that Democrats are wrong about. There's plenty to criticize about the Trump immigration policy and how he's going about it. But to say that we don't want to support strong borders and to say that the undocumented immigrant situation in our country isn't there is just not speaking to reality. And I think Bernie, because of the nonprofit NGO support for the immigrant population, has chosen to stop talking about those issues. But he used to be somebody who in the Congress would take a lot of heat for voting against bipartisan immigration reform, quote unquote bipartisan immigration reform, which would have given a pseudo-legal status to these undocumented workers, which would have made them, like I said, indentured servants, but legal indentured servants. Whoop-de-doo. Bernie Sanders would stand up and speak out against that, calling it a slavery bill, and both sides, both establishment sides, would speak up against him. But where is he speaking about that in the last bipartisan immigration bill, which was essentially the same thing? So I could go on and on and on. There's plenty of issues where Bernie and I we're not totally opposed from each other, but it's just I believe that the conversation has gone beyond 2015. It's gone beyond 2016. It's gone beyond the idea of is it democratic socialism or is it capitalism? We're in a totally new situation here, people. The world that we're going into with AI and tech and the whole situation of control, which could be exhibited from a new digital prison that is being built around us, that could be flipped on from the flip of a switch, is I don't think described by capitalism. And so people who are out there saying we got to rally against capitalism, we got to support socialism and communism, I don't think those people understand the history of communism at all and what people went through in the communist countries of our world in the past. And those ideas of communism, Karl Marx's ideas, are criticisms of the world in the 19th century. So it doesn't really apply to the 21st century.
Right.
I think we need to move the conversation forward. And that's sort of my biggest crux with Senator Sanders. He still goes out there and chooses to speak about these issues as if we're in the 90s and we're in 2025.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think you know we were talking about a man who's like 80, was he 84 years old or 82 years old, something like that. You know, that's it's how much you can't be completely in touch at that age. Like
Right.
it's like it's impossible, especially you know if you're never online really, or you never you don't know what the hell's going on. Even same with Trump. Right. Trump, I don't think is very online either. He just like posts on Truth Social, I guess, or whatever. Apparently he doesn't really read his Twitter feed or X feed or whatever so much. Actually, he barely tweets as far as I see now. He used to tweet all the time. Like, 10 years ago or something like that. But, or maybe before he got banned. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know how much he's, he watches like Fox News and watches like cable news and stuff. So, there's only so much you can know being in that age group and seeing like, even me, I'm a millennial, older millennial, almost 41. And, there's some things that the kids are like, in their early 20s are probably seeing that I'm not seeing. Right. And like new things that they're into and are going to be impactful that I'm just kind of blind to, or just don't understand the impact of it, or that's important, like Twitch or something like that. Right. Watching people game. Things like that. So that's a great point. And I think I wanted to bring up this point before. I think the Democrats screwed themselves over twice with with the Hillary and Bernie situation in 2015 or 2016, and then later on with Kamala. It's like both of those ladies, they kind of coronated in a way. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't much democratic process to it. There was no upswell in popularity. There was no, they didn't have they weren't very popular. I mean, neither of them were very popular when they ran for president in the past, as far as I understand. They definitely lost. Definitely not Kamala. And then they're just like, you know what, this is going to be the person, guys. So deal with it. And that's like, from the hashtag saving democracy people, that always struck me as very, very hypocritical. And they paid for that. Like Bernie probably would have won in 2016 if they gave him the full because I was a Bernie supporter back then, and I would have definitely voted for Bernie. And there was a serious upswell of energy, as you mentioned, and like a groundswell, I should say, of energy. And I bet you he would have won, but because that was like that was a grave sin there that Hillary tried to hijack it with her Clinton. Tentacles and the Clinton Foundation, everything like that, all the power they have. And
they rewrote the rules. The Democrat Party
they paid for that.
Wrote the rules. paid millions of dollars, and well, then lost votes, but they paid for that foolishness because they wanted to crown a queen.
And they did it again with Biden. They wanted to hide it, and then hide that Biden was. How could you hide that Biden was too old? It was just crazy. It's just crazy that conservatives and right-leaning people saw a year or two into Biden's administration that he was very old and slightly senile or dementia or something's going on, Parkinson's, whatever it is. It's clearly something's going on. And then the media tried to cover for CNN and stuff, tried to cover him for 2 years, and they paid for that as well. Then they tried to force feed us Kamala. It's like, what did you think was going to happen, man? But anyways, I'm sorry, Isaiah. Go ahead, finish your thought.
Quick question for you, Congressman. What are you seeing from other young men in your age group up there in New Hampshire regarding the history of communism? And because I know it's a question. Amongst, I don't want to call you kids, right? But
that's fine.
Well, I'm 43. I'm ancient in this amongst this group, but
not me.
Amongst guys in young people in your group, what is what up there in New Hampshire, what is the general opinion of communism, Marxism, and even what we're progressivism is the same thing, just with a little nicer label. But what are you seeing?
Certainly recently, yeah.
It's an interesting question. I think it varies from place to place. I think people similarly to what's going on in New York right now have a fight the man mentality. And the fight the man mentality right now in the country is resulting in people supporting those who label themselves as socialists or socialists adjacent, or
you want to fight the power, but can't lift your fist over your head.
Yeah, exactly.
They all just
little sort of
hey, I got my fist in the air. Sorry,
I've seen a lot of that. No, exactly. But I think that a lot of those people have a lot of good. I think their heart's in the right place, and I am somebody who, like I said it a few questions ago, and again, I know I can talk. Just stop me at any time. But the ideological conversation right now, I just don't think really applies to the world that we're living in anymore. And so I think a lot of people go out and they say, oh, I'm a socialist, or oh, I'm a this, or I'm a that. And they have a very deep and wealthy understanding of the history of those things. They've read all the literature and all these things, but they apply it in the modern context in a way that just doesn't really make any sense. And I think that's a lot of the liberal leaning people in the state. I mean, there are I know a lot of them because they were a part of that organizing world. There were a bunch of different people that came together, and socialists were a part of that. And so I know a lot of the people who call themselves socialists or anything like that exist here in the state, or are still doing rallies out there and doing their thing. And
they look a lot like this. Like guys like that.
They're a little cooler than that. They're a little cooler than that.
What is with that? Literally,
that's a real. That photo has some, power to it. Power to the people.
That's low T power right there.
That is something. Wow. I think that really encapsulates a lot of it. If people just aren't really that serious right now anymore, and that exists on both sides of the aisle. People like to pretend like they're serious and they're out there doing their thing, and whether it's the socialists who are out there with their communist flags and they're rah-rahing for socialism, or the ridiculous neo-Nazis that will stand outside of the State House with their 13 people and their big masks and everything like that, and they'll do their thing. I think both of those are just, are Are you theater children just wanting to get on the stage that you never were able to get on? I mean, what is this? Because are you genuinely going out there saying that you're supporting whether it be a system of fascism or a system of communism? Is that genuinely what you support, or do you have any context or understanding of the history of the United States of America, which is a storied history? It's a tale of two stories, with the working people and the elite. That's for sure. There's a lot of negativity in the story of the United States of America, but there's also a lot of positivity from the very beginning until the end. Here we are right now, 249 years later. And so I think that if a lot of people on both sides of the extremes had more of a connection to, which we got to be careful about, but I think it's also important to have a connection to our American mythos, the liberty that was brought to us 249 years ago by aristocrats who had very interesting ideas about the world and who was a human being, but also stood up to the divine right of kings, which had encapsulated the world for a long time. Whether it be the divine right of government, which I think a lot of people on the left sometimes choose to believe in, or the divine right of a dictator, which some people on the right believe in, which I don't think is necessarily true of most of them, but I'm not saying what the most of them say these days. I'm just talking about generally, like the people who are neo-Nazis out there standing for with a flag or something like that. Not the Republican Party in general. I'm talking.
No. I think
but people worship both of these ideologies. We should worship our Constitution. We should worship the United States of America, and we should, if we're going to worship anything, and we should worship God. And that's really, I know that's not something that's popular for.
Well, it's because
that's right though, man. That's 100%
right.
You're right, though. I would tweak it a little bit. The reason why we have the Constitution that we do in the United States is because the founders recognized, they worshiped God and recognized one thing that's very, very important for good governance. And that is that man cannot be God. The one thing that I've come to understand over the, because my parents raised me and my brothers to love the Constitution of the United States, read the Constitution of the United States, and understand what it is about this country. Like in order to love a thing, you have to know a thing. And so when you have people in our country right now, born here, raised here, know nothing about the history, or are satisfied to just simply say, "Oh, the 1619 project," which is a complete fabrication of history. You just end up with this entitlement. You have this entitlement where, things are effed up. Well, who's gonna fix it? The government. And it's like, no, that's not what this is about. Like America is a country that was built and protects primarily the individual, which is the smallest minority of all. And no one seems to really get or understand that. It's really sad when you think about it, because there's so few people who even want to understand history. It's like there's this presentism. I don't know if I'm sure you've heard that before. There's this presentism which is to me is like the ultimate expression of privilege. It's like, and I were there during that time, and it's like, and then they go on to like their whole spiel, like, okay, so you're going to import DEI to people back 250 years ago, and I'm like, you are out of your depth. You're born in a very soft and a very privileged position. You really ought to sit down and take a gas exercise.
The time when people, like, half their kids would die. You had to get everywhere by horseback if you were lucky enough to have a horse.
Exactly.
I mean, they had no idea what history was like back then and how you couldn't worry about a lot of this shit. You couldn't worry about offending people. You know, men and women are working together to survive.
If your
You know,
DoorDash
that's
order
a
is
fact.
2 minutes late, if your DoorDash order is 2 minutes late, or your Uber Eats or your Uber, if you're looking in your app and your Uber's moving away from you and you freak out, guess what? That's privilege.
Well, and that's the interesting thing about the people who will go out there and call themselves socialists. You know, I mean, I get in trouble when I talk about we shouldn't be calling ourselves socialists. So I get a little hesitating.
Jonah.
But you know, the voters for Zoran Mamdani, when you look at the voter breakdown, are just the people that you were talking about. My $60-$70 order for DoorDash at 3 a.m. came late, and now I'm upset. I'm living on my $100,000, $200,000 salary with $3,000 rent, which is expensive. I know it's expensive, and so I can go out and talk about the fact that it's expensive, but you're paying it, and you're in a house, you're on the floor, and you're in you're in middle or upper middle class. And here you are saying, I know best for those people that I see on the street, the homeless, the workers, and so I'm going to go out there and call myself a socialist. It's the champagne socialism that exists in the United States of America today. And honestly, that's what has totally drawn me away from that whole side of things, when you realize how much of it is just champagne socialism, where people are more interested in pontificating about these ideas than they are actually about building collective power among the workers, like in unions and all these other things, which allow people to participate in the profits which are being built in this great country that we have. But to say, oh, we're going to just talk about these issues, or we're going to support tearing down the United States of America and totally
abolish the Constitution, as I hear quite often.
Exactly. I mean, there are lawyers.
Congress.
I quoted a lawyer from the ACLU in my speech about the one of my speeches on the floor, and it was a lawyer named Chase Strangio, and he spoke for the case on the Scarametti case before the Supreme Court about the puberty blocker ban in Tennessee, and he was quoted in a magazine by saying, "I'm a constitutional lawyer who doesn't believe in the Constitution."
And he must not understand the fucking Constitution, then, because that's ridiculous.
First of all,
it is a great document.
The line that I forgot to say, because I had a headache on the floor at the time, and I was sort of just reading from my notebook, which I don't often do. But the line that I forgot to say was, I wouldn't hire that man for a traffic accident, let alone for one of the most important cases before the Supreme Court. But this is what the so-called left of the country is doing.
I do have to offer a little bit of a clarification. Chase Strangio, if that is her real name, that is not a man. And the fact that she said that she's a constitutional lawyer who hates the Constitution. It's like, that is the most as above, so below nonsense, postmodern dog shit I've ever heard. That is just ridiculous. And I remember when Strangio was on the floor of the Supreme Court doing that nonsense. I'm just like, how have they not called the sergeant at arms? I mean, seriously, once upon a time, like, that type of narcissistic spectacle, that type of cluster B bullshit would have gotten you, would have earned you like a trespass. But for the last 10 years, we have literally allowed the most insane narcissistic people to run our lives and run our policy.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. And I think it's important to say here, I've been criticizing the party for a little bit. And people take my criticism of the party and say, "Oh, Jonah Wheeler, he must be some pseudo Republican. He's out there.
He's a dynamite.
He's undermining the party. He's out there undermining the party." No, I'm having a conversation with two people who find themselves on the other side of the political aisle, and we're discussing the problems that exist within the party which I find myself in. I have to justify the fact that I find myself a part of this political party. And I think a lot of representatives won't say that, but they feel that right now because they do not support the brand which is being created by the 25-year-old consultants in DC in the Beltway who are turning the party to this place where, like you said, it's just all these narcissistic, pseudo-intellectual, ambitious to a fault people who care nothing about the role in which they're serving and care more about winning.
The machine state.
Yeah, not doing that either anymore.
And that's on both sides of the aisle. And it's a problem that is pervasive in our politics. And the more that we cave to the base of both sides of the party, because I know Republicans face this too, and they criticize their party and don't criticize the party on conversations like this, the more our politics atrophies. So I know people will watch this, especially some people in my district who will watch this and say, Jonah, you're out there criticizing the party. And I just want to make it clear. I'm criticizing the party. I'm criticizing the progressive base of the party because I love it. I want to see it succeed. I want to see us actually have two parties which are in a coherent conversation about how to make the United States of America, these great United States, a country which works in the 21st century.
That's the only way to save the party, Jonah.
Exactly.
Unless you want to start your own party, but you're trying to save it, which is smart because it's already established and it's hard to start a new party. And in America, it's very difficult.
Jonah Wheeler.
That's the only way to save
Democrats? Jonah Wheeler criticized the Democrats? like, come on.
Hey, you're on a podcast, Jonah, too. It's Apostate Radio. We're both former, progressives, I think, right? You would say you're a progressive, right?
I was never.
I voted Democrat before. Very partisan, but that changed.
I considered myself a moderate most of the time. Like I was never a hardcore leftist, right? Like I don't make enough money, and I don't come from money. Like my dad's a retired correctional officer. Shout to Kevin and to Kevin Carter, my dad. Pop, I love you.
What's up, Kevin?
He and
Mr. Carter.
My mom have been married for like 45 years. Okay, we grew up in West Baltimore and then moved over to Northeast, Bel Air, Edison, and Northeast Baltimore when I was 10. So we didn't come from we ain't come from no money. My parents started their cleaning business like on the side like in the year 2000. And like I said, that wasn't like a crazy amount of money. So again, I don't come from money. And even with my, I've been blessed to make a little bit of money now. My wife is a teacher. We don't have the kind of money that would require having the type of luxury beliefs that a lot of, unfortunately, that your constituents tried to corner you on a few months ago. And we're going to talk about that shortly. I was showing my wife this. I want to actually show you this video that I had put together. I cut this like a couple of days ago. I was in Manhattan, and I was in one of the like the toniest parts of Manhattan, right? And I'm going to give you a taste of what it was that I should have taped. Actually, I should have taped
Isaiah, it's hard to hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, now I can hear you kind of.
We can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Now you sound good. Okay, I was sure of like a wire.
We could hear you, but it was kind of just.
Yeah, it sounded very distant.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you now, though. You're good.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Let me just
Manhattan.
make it. Yeah, so I was in one of the toniest parts of Manhattan, and I want to show you this. This is in the West Village, okay, right by the meatpacking district. This is the type of luxury belief system that we're up against. Okay, watch. Look at this here. Divine identity.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. I was moved by these pieces to highlight queer folks of faith by creating similar icons to bring light those of us who are both queer and spiritual. Look at this communist inversion right here to encourage us and others to recognize our own sacredness. Really? We are all created in the image of the divine. Our identities are again, get the fuck over yourselves. I've warned you. I have warned people for many, many years. Never, ever trust anyone who puts a halo over their own head. And here we go.
Look at this.
This is classic. This is classic Gnostic Marxist inversion. Fuck this shit. The only faith these people have is in themselves, because that's all they worship are themselves. This communist dog shit. If you can't tell, I hate communism. but
that's bananas.
Yeah, no, like that's the type of luxury belief system that we're up against. We are dealing with people who believe that they are by far more enlightened by nature of their money and where they come from. They believe that they have the correct opinions. They believe that they can dictate how everyone else should live, and they push this on everybody else. And I've had this. I've had like I said, this luxury belief system is like that's what's currently in effect right now. We're talking about people coming from families making like $300,000-$400,000 at minimum, $500,000 a year just coming into them. Like these people are nuts.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is I'm glad they're actually saying that they're having some relation to the divine, which is, that's a unusual sometimes for the left, but so that's good. That's a good step. But putting a halo over your own face and putting your face out there, like like those communist pictures you have of guys on the wall and stuff. Everybody's just looking like this, and
right.
It's like it almost amounts to self-worship. It's very strange, like an idolatry or something.
So we played your video, Congressman. We played your video at the beginning of at the beginning of our show. I want to share this. Hold on a second, because I think you know what, I might have lost it, or you know what, I hit the wrong thing. Hold on, bear with me 1 second while I talk about this. Matter of fact, Nick, if you have any other, while I look for this,
I wanted to say something before too. I think one of the, I forgot what you mentioned. What the purpose of the Constitution was, Isaiah, exactly. But another purpose of it for sure was, just to prevent tyranny, right? That was a major goal, if not the main goal of the Constitution, I think, and also to combine, keep the states together in a union. But and it has been very good at that, for the most part. I mean, like, yeah, certain people get into power and they get a little corrupt and stuff. But that's another thing I want to say. One of the things the founders had in mind when they wrote, debated and talked about and composed the Constitution, is that you can't trust. You can always trust in the selfishness of men and the greed for power, no matter who they are, right? So it's like, if anybody gets into power and they feel like people aren't watching them and they get away with certain things, people justify things to themselves, and that's probably across the board to some degree. Like, I don't know if there's anybody in those positions, if they've been around long enough, who are not going to do that to a degree. Whether it's like, well, I could take a little bit of money from the Saudis and, I put myself in this position. It's not hurting anybody, whatever, right? And maybe I'll change the law here or there. That's they feel like that's not really doing too much harm. But like, you can always, I think the founders understood, because they were great students of history, especially like Roman, Greek history, recent history, the English, French, your Western European politics. They knew that that's just how it is with human beings. And it's very rare to find a man who's beyond reproach, especially, his whole life. Maybe you could do that for a couple of years, but then as you get older, people get selfish. So the Constitution was made to make people, people be greedy about their own power and the checks and balances, right? From whether it's the Supreme Court, the Congress, and the executive branch. So you can count on them, hopefully, to be like, well, no, you can't get away with that. That's our, so you kind of check each other instead of being a king or whatever. And that's the great value of the Constitution, one of the great values of it, as well as our Bill of Rights. And of course, people we're talking about don't, they go to college and they don't learn that at all. In fact, they learn the opposite. They go to college frequently and they learn that America's terrible. White people are like the most evil race on earth. Men are one of the biggest problems ever on planet Earth. Being heterosexual is actually an issue. We need to have more queerness or something.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a total inversion of like just how we got to this point prior, like how we've had all of this progress, all of this great wealth, all of this cures and technology that made our lives so pampered. And it's an inversion of what got us here this far with absolutely ridiculous ideas that have a foundation of Marxism and postmodernism, but have gone off the rails with gender stuff that's, again, preying on children and making women and girls not safe, it's inflaming racial divisions when we were actually doing pretty well about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And now people are getting more racist again because they're constantly white people are told that they're bad. And then white people are like, well, what about this? And then they're yelling at black people or whatever. It has not worked. This has not worked. So I don't even know what point I'm trying to get at, but I just wanted to say that. I don't know what you think about that, Joe.
I mean, the world right now, we're so captured. You're right. The Constitution has done a very good job at preventing tyranny over the course of our 249-year history since its implementation. There have been plenty of very wealthy forces that exist beyond generations that have tried to infiltrate the places in government, the levers of power, to be able to destroy that Constitution. And we're a frog in boiling water, and the water is getting pretty hot right now.
Yeah, it is.
Got to the point where, the 1980s onto 2010 was just nonstop of deregulation, no matter the party, deregulation, business interests, a changing of the fundamental, whatever problem you may have with FDR, he was a dictator, he's this, he's that. The fundamental FDR era, which was created, the social safety net, the belief in government, the trust that came from the World War II era of the administration. And from that, in the 80s era on, the Reagan era, came the era of hating government, where government, whatever Reagan's quote was, which I don't want to butcher right now, about if government's at your door, it's not a good thing, or something like that.
The scariest words that you gave from the government are, I'm butchering it as well, but like the scariest words you.
I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help.
I'm here from the government.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Which, there's plenty of truth to that, but I think it's also, I think that was
maybe not always.
Exactly. I think that was a clever way to get people to stop believing in government. I mean, I think government at its best is the place where people can redress their grievances with, whether that be the business that's polluting the river behind their house, or their neighbor who's decided to build a shed on their side of the lawn, or whatever it might be. The government, the public entity that exists in the town, state, county, local, federal level, at its best should be the place where we can redress those grievances. And we're the frog in the boiling pot of water right now with the technology that exists, which is controlled by and essentially a data mining effort. So all of our participation on social media is just a data mining behavioral experiment. And the people who are at the top of that experiment, the CEOs, the oligarchs, are able to, from that, dole out the perfect divisive conversations which keep us just whang at each other until the end of our days, while they continue to steal and siphon away our money to private industry and private
and our attention,
equity,
and our attention. Absolutely,
we're addicted to
as our health goes away, as our food becomes poison, as all these things happen.
Families break up and get angry with each other. Friendships end.
Absolutely. The fundamental trust between one and another is just totally atrophied. They can run scot-free with all our money. So I
one thing I just want to say, Isaiah, quickly, is that one of the worst, the third thing, I mentioned the three branches of government. The fourth part, right, is the free press, right? And the free press, there is an immense, what an opportunity in the last couple decades to be extremely, extremely corrupt when you have a free press who's not going to report on the things you're doing. Like, and I'm looking at the Democrats especially. I mean, you have Fox News, but Fox News is has been thoroughly what's the word for I'm trying to think of it's been totally nobody takes it seriously. It's obviously a conservative propaganda arm or whatever, right? And that was the only channel, right, for a couple decades. And maybe a few magazines were kind of, or a few newspapers, New York Post or something like that. But everybody else, all of the papers of record, New York Post, Washington Post, most of the magazines, all CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all of them are very left leaning in recent decades. And it's like you can get away with quite a bit if you don't have people looking after you. And now we do again because of independent media, but now that what comes, there's good with the bad with the good with that, which is of course there's a lot of charlatans out there. There's a lot of people who are looking to make up stories and be trolls, and there's more opportunities for Russia and China or whoever to influence and just create pay off people and create channels and stuff to like totally confuse the shit out of everybody. But that's a big problem. That's one of the biggest problems I think we have, is that we used to have a press that was fairly journalistic for much of our history, where it's hard to get away with things. Somebody finds out, everybody's gonna know, and then you're shamed. Not maybe that's coming back now, but it comes with a lot of noise. But go ahead, Isaiah.
So I want to get into the struggle session.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, I want to get into that. Let because
we're having too much fun over here.
That's what we're. No. Listen. I wanted this to be an opportunity where this is three guys talking, and I wanted to get to know this young brother because honestly, from everything, and I mean this, Jonah, from everything that I see from you, you are exactly the kind of politician. You are exactly the kind of statesman that not only your state needs, your state has you, your constituents have you, and they are blessed to have selected a young man like you to represent them. Okay.
Thank you.
Your national profile, sir, I'm telling you right now, I see you making massive waves in the years to come. I am praying this and I am speaking this into existence, young man. I mean that.
I agree with that.
So let's get into this. Let's get into that.
100%.
Yeah. A man like you to have the kind of wisdom and I'm gonna use the phrase that my father says. For a young man to have the wisdom, knowledge, and common sense that you have displayed in our conversation thus far, and we only an hour and a half in, I am impressed by you, sir. Really
and it's for what you did, which we're about to show over here.
Especially with what we're about to talk about now. Yes. So let's get into this. A shout to Officer Tatum. So we've got a tweet from a post rather from Nostra Chavez back in March 20th. New Hampshire Rep. Jonah Wheeler bravely breaks ranks with Democrats, restoring women's sports and private spaces. Also, listen to the woke clown that comes. Well, I'm sorry, you're Costa Rican. The woke payaso that comes on.
Payaso.
Calling him a black man who passed as.
Passed as white. I couldn't believe that. I was like, you fucking asshole, man.
Here we go.
Lord.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does the member yield for a question?
Always.
And slow your roll, Representative. Before you inquire, it is a violation of House rules to come down that aisle while someone's at the well. So I don't want to see that again.
That's right, bitch.
Hold on. Hold on. That motherfucker came down ready, didn't he?
Yeah,
Oh
he's
yeah, I
right.
was going to
He's-
mention that because the camera cuts it off. When I'm standing there, I'm speaking. I forget exactly what I was saying at the moment, but you can see in the video my eye go up a little bit. But I was looking at him. He kind of was barreling down the aisle, coming at me. I was like, "Is this guy about to,
attack you?
tackle me on the house floor?"
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to find it now. Where you?
It's right before he comes beside me. So I mean, it's very brief. You can kind of you almost don't see the reaction of mine.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah. So all right. So I'm going back to the 5-minute mark. Here we go. Because this is.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does the member yield for a question?
Always.
And slow your roll, Representative. Before you inquire, it is a violation of House rules to come down that aisle while someone's at the well. So I don't want to see that again.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for taking my question. With white passing African Americans being free from discrimination during Jim Crow era laws, do you think that it is fair that we can compare this situation directly to the bathroom bans that African Americans were given and told that they were dangerous to white people? Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you for the question.
Hold on.
What a joke.
So
The balls of him saying that.
So you ever heard of Preston Brooks? There's the
I
name
have not.
Preston Brooks. Okay, Preston Brooks. Right before the Civil War, there was actually an incident of violence that happened. I think they were discussing slavery, and I can't remember if it was Preston Brooks who got beat up, or the other, or if Preston Brooks had beat someone else. But the bottom line is there was violence, and a cane was involved.
Yes, I remember this.
This scene,
Too bad you didn't have a cane on you, Jonah.
Jonah, how did you keep it together? It's like I've never understood this. The fact that these people, we have dealt with this for 10 years. That for some odd reason, these people, when it comes to the gender cult, when it comes to everything, anything and everything trans, these people believe that they can do and say anything that is racist, bigoted, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because their
I've seen that.
their feelings, their identity crisis comes before everyone and everything else.
Yeah.
When my account was suspended in 2021, my Twitter account was suspended for almost 4 months.
Isaiah went on a hunger strike.
Yeah,
and they finally brought it back.
Well, shit,
Brought it back.
it wasn't very successful. I'll tell you that. This, like, I had quote unquote misgendered someone, right? And because this guy had gone on like this massive abolish prisons rant for Derek Chauvin. Okay, and yeah,
can't take it.
And so I said, white men protecting white men, folks. 'Tis a train that is never laid. Count was zapped for 119 days. Okay, it was one of the most humiliating experiences of my life. But that's when I knew. Oh, Sumner, Jordan Bowles.
Yes.
Oh, JB, thank you. It was Jordan.
Yes.
Sumner and Brooks. Yeah. Okay, so Preston Brooks beat Charles Sumner with the cane. That's yeah. Paul Nicolosi. We're getting some comments here. Paul and my good friend.
I actually read about that in the book Great Ass Whoopings of American History. That was by Ron Chernow. It was great.
Jonah Wheeler for governor of New Hampshire, my friend Paul says, more like we can see that. How did you keep it together, Jonah. Like seriously, we're messing around, but like honestly, I want to know before we get to your response there. I want to know like what were your thoughts as this guy is says that ridiculous, says that nonsense.
Well, I was running through about a million things in my head, which could have been said, which might have been a little bit more, shot fired sort of thing. It's my Catonian spirit, I guess. I mean, I believe in the not divinity. The divinity is saved from God, but I believe in the temple of republic that is that building and the respect and austere of the chamber itself. And so, I think there would be very, very few things which could set me off that balance, which I try to maintain, especially while on the House floor, but everywhere in my life, where you're carrying with you the thousands of people who you're representing in the legislature. And so if I do my best. I know I'm here right now, like a shirt in my room and everything like that, but most often I try to be as presentable, as composed as I can be, because you're representing thousands of people who elected you to serve them in the legislature. And so you're not just Jonah O'Ryan Wheeler, you're there as Jonah O'Ryan Wheeler representing the thousands of people who elected you to serve. So I'm not showing up in a t-shirt. I'm not going to yell and scream.
Not John Fetterman.
You're not Isaiah Carter.
Exactly. I'm not John Fetterman. You're in the United States Senate, dude. Put on a friggin' tie. But that's a whole other story. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do my best not to be glib. I'm a snarky kid at my core, so sometimes that slips out. But I do my best not to be glib and to take the role seriously. So if somebody's going to ask me a question and if they're going to come up and be glib, Heath, I think you really thought he had a good one there. He's going to get me and really get me off balance.
He did not.
So I
have a good one.
Just going to listen to his question and answer it.
No, the way you played that was perfect. We were joking around. Definitely good that you didn't yell at him or talk shit or beat him up or anything. Like, let him make a fucking fool of himself. Let him make a fool of himself and just be like, yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
again,
that spoke for itself. That's on video. Exactly. Good job, buddy.
For itself.
You are a much stronger man than I am, because I'm usually the bull in the china shop, man, and that guy, oh my God. But anyways, let's get to your response, because your response was pretty good.
Representative race and what happened in the Jim Crow era is, yes, significantly different than sex and talking about women and their private spaces.
Oh, beautiful.
There you go.
It speaks for itself, man.
It does.
There you go.
Yeah. Think about that for a couple minutes, guys.
I know.
It is different.
I mean, the fact that he... Yeah, the equivalency is just insane.
Rough.
And for a party that claims to support women and support women's rights, for them to ignore and label all women who would speak up on this issue, including Democratic women. I mean, I'm looking at the book The Reckoning by Kara Dansky. I'm also thinking of her book Abolition of Sex. She's a former lawyer for the ACLU.
I know Kara.
Who's now excommunicated from all those spaces as a TERF, trans exclusionary feminist.
I love TERFs. We in Apostate Radio love TERFs, by the way. So this is TERF friendly. Any TERFs want to come on?
Well, it's just insane to me that we're going to label all these people who were once a part of our team and still agree with us on maybe 90% of the issues as trans exclusionary feminists, when they're bringing up reasonable concerns about the rejection of material reality by the Democratic base right now, by a very small minority of the Democratic base.
Indeed.
And I think Heath's example on the floor right there sort of illustrates that perfectly.
Here's the thing. If there's one thing, a couple things I want to just add to what you said, Jonah. What you saw was, and the other thing that we're going to get into that as well, that was how you know that these people no longer believe in policy. They no longer believe in doing things that are right for as many people as possible. What these people have done, what the entire gender cult has done, it has turned people into full-blown cultists. Full-blown cultists. It takes a certain amount of religiosity to believe the truth of a statement like trans women are women. It takes a religiosity. Think of it for a second, Jonah. You are saying with that statement, which really is a tautology, okay? You are saying with that statement that based on nothing but faith, based on nothing but say so, and because you believe, quote unquote, believe all women, which is another slogan I think that is mildly tied to this, you are saying that it's like this perversion of rugged individualism. No one can tell anyone what they are, right? That's we hear that a lot. And again, it takes a certain amount of faith, it takes a certain amount of fanaticism to believe this, to further this, and then because when you believe absurdities, you'll commit atrocities. Think about this. Because you claim to be, quote, saving lives, you engage in, quote unquote, in the atrocity of gender affirming care. Because you believe the absurdity that if we free this mismatched soul from its meat prison that the demiurge has put them in. Yes, this is real stuff. This is real stuff.
Yeah, Gnosticism.
Believe.
Yeah.
This is Gnosticism, folks.
Yeah.
They believe that it is inhumane to leave them in their own bodies and maybe, I don't know, develop a little bit of self-esteem boost so that they can accept reality as it is instead of reality as it should be. And then on top of that, the fanaticism of threatening to suicide yourself if you don't get your way, the emotional blackmail. You have no way of defending your position. You have no way of saying this is, this is what we believe and we can defend it. No, because we see how they do that. They send in constitutional lawyers who hate the Constitution.
And also, what was it? What was the stat? There, people were 20 times more likely to commit suicide after they have the surgery. That's what I think it was. Mia Hughes told us. I think it was.
Like, what even is logic?
Yeah.
And so, and I want to, and the next thing that we're going to get into is the cult response. I want to show people this, right? I want to show the entire world what you had to deal with afterwards. This is a video from Jamie Reed, who was in the gallery as this was taking place. I want to go ahead and play this. Let me go ahead and just start this here. It looks like you've cut your dreads since this.
No, it's just a little more tied up. Sometimes they look longer and shorter, but
okay.
They're still there.
My wife's got locks. So now we representing for the dread heads. I love it. Hold on one second. Yeah. Well, so let's do this. Let's get into this, folks. You're gonna see the cultishness of this.
Don't respond right away because I'm not going to get lost in this. My question is, do you understand the ripple effect that your actions have on vulnerable people? And I am saying that, Jonah, as someone who has been in your corner almost as long as I've been a teacher. I sat across from you and you talked about how you wanted to go to Boys State. I proudly voted for you, and I am ashamed of what you have done out in the world. I cared for you. Jane is my student too. This room is full of people you are actively hurting. I don't know how you speak.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was one of the most interesting moments of my career in politics. I do have to say, Mary Goldwaith Gagney was an art teacher of mine in Conval. She got a couple of the facts wrong. She said, "Oh, I nominated you for Boys State." As far as I know, I never went to Boys State. I went to Youth in Government, YMCA Youth in Government, which is not a program you're nominated for. It's a club that each high school in the state who signs up to participate in allows for anybody to participate in, and then you get to be a state legislator in the legislature. But no, I never went to Boys State. I did want to go, but I never went. And the insinuation, I'm ashamed of everything that you've done in the world. Aren't we here about one particular vote? It's so
Everything else is terrible
also
as well.
Now terrible based off of the fact that you and I disagree on this one vote.
Make it make sense, man.
Well, go ahead, Jonah.
The fact that I was, you're actively harming people. I understand what they're saying.
Mhm.
Your words, your actions are resulting in people feeling as though they're going to kill themselves or not.
Right. Yes.
Well,
That's what they're saying.
I'm sorry, but everything that I approached in that speech and in the last speech that I gave on the House floor in regards to the puberty blockers issue, where I said we should be saying everybody is born. I brought compassion to that issue as much as I could, where I said nobody is born in the wrong body. And that is a controversial topic right now. That's a controversial thing to say. But I think it's an important thing to say because it means all bodies are beautiful. No matter if you're short or stout, tall and lean, whether you're gay or you're straight, all bodies are beautiful.
Especially mine.
Absolutely. Especially mine. That's what I was saying. Especially mine.
Especially mine. The people are saying it.
And I'm almost. I put on a few pounds, so
It is beautiful. No matter what, you're a beautiful body because we all, everybody is who they're supposed to be.
Amen.
And
Amen.
that, I think, is my biggest gripe with what this whole conversation around gender theory instills in people is the fundamental and core belief that you're not who you're supposed to be. You are, and you don't need medical intervention to find yourself in this world. You need, as you said, Isaiah, in an earlier conversation, you need self-esteem. You need a world that's going to bring you and instill in you confidence, and a world that's going to treat you with respect.
And you probably need therapy or some kind of consultation, man. Which is what we used to get, like for gender dysphoria.
Absolutely,
Like you used to get it fixed, and then a lot of times those kids would just turn out to be gay.
Well, they would say that they get the therapy, a lot of it.
But they might be getting some woke therapy.
Like a lot of what they're getting is psychology,
but they're getting a lot of times it's woke therapists though. They're too like ready to affirm it. Like, oh yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah,
I've gotten calls from many a psychologist, child psychologist, or therapist, or doctor from across the country who are former Democrats or Democrats still who find themselves just unable to speak up about this issue because
or that
colleagues will excommunicate them from the social aspect of their profession,
or they could be legally liable too in certain states. I believe.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. I should have mentioned that as well. Yes, it's true.
In New York, if you do not,
which is crazy,
you do not follow the affirmative model. Meaning that if someone with gender dysphoria comes in and says, I feel like if some kid comes in and says, I feel like a boy, and some girl comes in and says that, by law in the state of New York, that child must be affirmed. That little girl must be affirmed as a boy, and Planned Parenthood, it is known that kids have been able to get on a regimen of puberty blockers and
Testosterone.
sex hormones in
Yeah.
a 30-minute visit.
Yeah, that's not
Within
good.
30 minutes. They have treated this like it is something, because they treat it like it's an emergency. Okay. And as has been displayed in other states, like California comes to mind, and even New York, they have made it such that if a child comes out and says they are trans, and the mom is like, oh, we're just going to go right along with it, but the dad says no, the mom can traffic the child across state lines into a trans sanctuary state. They have these laws. California is one. New York is another.
So tragic, man.
Massachusetts is another. There are states, like, again, they have made it possible so that, and then they will even charge criminal, they'll charge criminal penalties on the parent who doesn't affirm the child.
Yeah, it could be child abuse. It could be considered child abuse.
You end up, and again, that's how you end up with these people who accosted you. I want to get to let's get to your response to this, because I found it very astute.
I sleep just fine.
Well said, man.
I sleep just fine.
I would too.
I sleep just fine.
That's the right decision. I would too.
Paul said she probably, the lady who accosted you there, she probably has a trans child, friend, or relative. The Helen Joyce rule likely applies. Are you familiar with Helen Joyce, Jonah?
No.
Okay. Helen Joyce, Irish journalist, wrote a book called Trans. I can't remember the rest of it, but she wrote a book, and I actually have this book. Well, I have a friend of mine. I've let a friend of mine borrow it. It is a book that essentially lays out like a lot of this same movement. And there was an interview that she did.
Trans when ideology meets reality. That's
there.
it.
You go. When ideology meets reality. Thank you. She did an interview. I want to say like a year or two ago, where she's saying that a lot of the people who are part of this ideology, right, the one like the strictest adherents to this ideology are going to be the last ones to wake up from the delusion, if they ever do at all. Okay, because these people are so deep in. But the ones who, Peter Boghossian, thank you, Paul. This is I love our chat. Like, we've got some of our regulars who listen to the show.
You guys bail us out a lot, man. Appreciate it.
They've been bailing us out. Again, we love y'all. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Chat. We appreciate it.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like these people are like, I'll never forget. I think I remember a story my mother-in-law once told about, or was it? I don't know if it was my mother-in-law or my wife who told me the story about somebody who, no, it was my mother-in-law who told me the story about a former supervisor of hers who started saying all this craziness about trans, like completely changing the way, changing the policy around how it was addressed and pronouns and all this other stuff. Come to find out she had a trans child. I mean, they literally, they treat these kids. They treat these kids like they're some divine beings, like they gave birth to some divine being. They do. They do. Like it's like, well, if I have this divine being who knows who they are on a deeper level than I could ever know them, and so if I don't give this frail divine beast, if I don't give them everything that the state and the medical industrial complex wants me to give them, this divine being is going to wither away and die by its own hand, and I must save it. That is literally what these people believe.
You're seeing in Hollywood, man. How many people in Hollywood do you see with like all like trans kids? Like, there's so many of them popping up, and it's so rare to have a trans, you know, a quote unquote trans kid, if that's even really a thing. And you know, now it's just, you notice in certain communities, in certain regions, among certain people of certain socioeconomic status or celebrity, have a much higher chance of having a trans or non-binary kid. Some of them have two. You know, and it's just like, some might even have three. It's really it's what a coincidence. I mean,
they're all adopted kids from Africa for some reason.
Yes, these people.
That's the weirder thing. These people just like adopting these weird.
Yeah,
no, but you know, and part of it too is, I think people, do, you know, genuinely try to do the best by their child, and so they get into these very fervent modes, which doesn't allow for any new information to enter, and it's the ideologue mode, and that, you know, you gotta. It's tough, especially as an elected official, because you got to be respectful for the families of these people who are going through. I mean, I get calls from all across the country, but also here in the district and in the state, who have children who are, you know, and they call me because they're worried about their child and their child's health, and they try to broach the subject, but the child labels them as, you know, hateful or this or the other. And there have been a few calls that I've gotten where I've thought to myself, well, maybe you are being a little bit hateful. But there have been many, and the majority of calls that I've gotten where I believe it is a parent doing the best by their child, and the child is rejecting that help, and it is causing a rift in the family, and the parent doesn't know how to deal with it, and they want their child. They want to be able to hang out with their baby, and so they accommodate the change that has been made, and I think that's where a lot of people are right now. But I think it's important for parents to be parents and to realize that you're the person protecting the child from the influences of the world that could result in them making lifelong decisions that result in life-changing impacts to their life that are irreversible. And that's really where the crux of the issue comes down to, is the children don't have the wherewithal to make these decisions for themselves. And so if a child comes to you and starts saying these things, I mean, I don't think there's a one size fits all best approach. You got to do what's best for your child and for you in the context of your home. But I think it's also important to remember that there is material reality to the world that the child needs to have a full understanding of, if that person is going to grow into a human being who can participate in an international and national and local community as a full person. And I think you see this a lot with young people today who are shut-ins. They speak about online, I have a hard time even asking for a meal at the cash register or whatever. You know, people need to be able to talk to each other, and that comes from having a foundation of the world and a understanding of who you are in a true sense that can go out into the world and present yourself in a way that you can be proud of yourself.
And I agree. I think as a parent, you need to you have to kind of set a boundary and maybe even be, you know, quote unquote, the bad guy if you need to, just because, you know, the truth is, you can feel like, say you're a boy, and you can feel like, well, I'm a girl, and I'm very feminine. I should be a woman. I'm a girl trapped in a boy's body. It's like, realistically, materially, you are not that, right? And you cannot be that. There's nothing that can happen to be that. Maybe if you die and are reincarnated, maybe that can happen, but it's not going to happen in this lifetime. There's nothing they could do to make you a girl or a woman. There's nothing that, because a girl is just a female human being.
Exactly.
A woman is an adult human female. You can't be that. That's not for you. That's just not going to happen. You could be an effeminate boy, a typically effeminate boy, or if you're typically effeminate man, you could be gay. You can be, even if you wanted to wear a dress, you want to wear a dress, whatever.
Wear your makeup. I mean, be who you want to be.
You can't be a woman or a girl. It's just
There
that's just not in the cards for you.
Reality of the world that exists. I, as a parent, I'm not going to stop you from. You want to wear a dress as long as you look good. Okay, that's my only rule.
Yeah,
if you look good,
gotta be a nice dress.
That's fine. But otherwise, maybe we'll talk about it. But there is a material reality to the world that we're going to have conversations about, because I don't want you to get into a dangerous situation that you find yourself in because you had false notions of the world.
Exactly.
Threw you out to the world and left you to the wolves. And that's you're not supposed to be friends with your child.
You're not.
Child. You're supposed to.
Amen.
You're supposed to help guide them through the snares of the gender ideology is a snare it's ensnaring people, the kids, and it's like it's causing them to sterilize, mutilate themselves, going on this conveyor belt where they think they're going to be happy, they're going to be fulfilled, and a lot of them commit suicide afterwards. Some of them, apparently, I think it was Mia Hughes that told us this. Somebody immediately deeply regretted getting castrated. They woke up and like, what did I do?
Yeah,
immediately. And also one more thing I want to say, Jonah, is like, I'm a father recently, just first time father, and a couple 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I wasn't sure I'd ever want to be a father. Now, so I was like, probably 33 or something. I was like, I don't know if I want to be a dad. Maybe that's not for me. I was single and all that. What the hell do you know as a young teenager, a teenager, even in your 20s, about what you are gonna want to do with your life? Being a father is one of the most fulfilling things ever in my life. Like, and I didn't even think I wanted to do that. So what do you know about like what you want to do as far as having kids? Or that could be a huge mistake for you, even, and also for your parents. Like your parents, most grandparents live for having grandchildren. Like that gives them like a second life. It's like you're just cutting that off. And sometimes literally, and it's just like it's really sad. It's not funny. Like it's sad, and to me that is like a fast track to suicidal thoughts or suicidal action. Like that's how you do that. That's really how you get people to be suicidal.
You're absolutely right, and it is the story. The thing that really got me to stop ignoring the issue. I always thought to myself, oh, maybe I don't fully agree, but I'm gonna go out there and say the line. I'm gonna do the regular thing. I never really spoke about the issue in my first campaign or anything like that, but what made me think differently and start to challenge my own preconceived notions about whatever gender and identity theory or whatever you want to call it was the stories of the detransitioners who, like you said, had gone through castration, woke up, and then felt. I'm not even going to try to relay their stories, but I urge any listener who hasn't gone and read one of them or looked at a testimony by one of them to do so, because it just shudders your soul to think about the lies that was told to a child. And then here they are having to say, I'm never going to be the person who I want to be because I made decisions at a young age that resulted in irreversible decisions. And it's the same. We are told by the ideologues on this issue, if you don't allow children to do this to themselves, then they're going to never be the person who they want to be and then kill themselves as a result of it. But as you mentioned, there have been studies which prove that is not the case. There has been in Alabama, the Supreme Court case in that state, which was there was a discovery portion of the case which revealed that WPATH had been lying about those statistics.
Yep, that's right.
A whole host of other things. And like you said, statistics aside, which I think are on our side, the common sense reality is that when you do such a thing to yourself, you're going to wake up with a sense of what have I done?
Yeah.
And a deep sense of regret, and that might not have come for some yet. I'm sure I know there are people who say that I've done the best thing for myself, and that's it. But then in the next sentence, they'll speak about the medical issues that they're facing,
Right.
that they can't hold a conversation with people, or that they can only hold a conversation for an X amount of time because their autism or anxiety or the rest doesn't allow them to hold the conversation any further. And you think to yourself, is that really the best for you, or is that just something that you say to mentally justify something that you in your core was wrong? Now, I'm saying a lot of things on this podcast that are going to be clipped and taken to my constituents and thrown into trouble. He doesn't believe in any of this issue anymore. Look, like you said, like I said, I don't care if you are out there wearing makeup. I don't care what you're calling yourself. I don't care if you're wearing a dress. I do care if you're saying to children that medical interventions, irreversible medical interventions, are the way to go. I do care if you're trying to remove gendered spaces and sports and different gendered separation parts of our society.
Absolutely.
I do have a problem with that, because there are instances in society where it's important, and there are good reasons why we have separated those private spaces or sports based off of gender. There are differences between the biological material reality of both sexes of the human race. And if I lose the election because I said that, then so be it. I mean, that's sort of how I'm feeling right now. And that's what I just said is not a Republican talking point, nor is it anti-democratic talking point. It is simply the truth of the material reality of the world. And
Yes.
people don't want to acknowledge that. That's
if
so
people listen, if people, the problem that we have in our society right now is that there is a rejection of objective reality, of material reality. There is a rejection of it. It's like, I love when, like, when you go into these when you go into jury duty, okay, and like there's this video that comes up, it's with New York City, right? I don't know how it is up there in New Hampshire, but in New York City there's a video where, it's like they give prospective jurors like a crash course in implicit biases, right? And they'll take something simple, right? They'll take something that everyone knows, that everyone understands, and it's just something that is known. And they'll have this lady with, some exotic sounding name, and she'll go, but it's more complicated than that. And I'm like, is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really? So you're saying that this one thing that we've understood for hundreds of thousands of years, this one thing that we all know, that we all understand, okay, that is a basic material reality of our very existence. And you're saying it's more complicated than that. Well, who complicated it then? Who complicated it? Let me ask you a quick question. One of our questions from Paul, one of our regulars. He asked, Paul asked, how do you think most of your constituents feel about this issue? I'm curious about this also, because I know that the freaks and geeks who struggled you months ago, that can't be the majority of your constituency, is it?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Freaks and Geeks should have never been canceled. That was one of the best shows that was ever on television. But no, I think that it's hard to gauge. We don't have polls or pollsters here in the state and in the districts, and But I would say
Would
that
they even tell the truth about it?
and that's part of it too.
Yeah.
What people say to me behind closed doors might be a little different from what they're going to say even at a town hall like that. And I know a few people who were in that room who clapped for a few things that they didn't actually believe because they told me so a couple of days later. Or
That happens quite a bit.
Oh, God.
So I think that, I mean, there are plenty of people who tell me that it's a majority of my constituents, and there are plenty of people who tell me that it's you're supporting only 10% of your constituent. I
think it's the other way
I think
around.
it's a little bit in the middle. I think there's probably 65% of my constituency agrees with my vote in total. If you took it as a Democratic primary, which amount of the Democratic primary voters support that particular vote? Maybe 40%, of the Democratic primary voters. But I think that for a chunk of the 60% who disagrees with the vote, maybe half of that 60 disagrees with the vote, but understands why I did it and respects the fact that I was willing to vote based off of the researched information that I had and the voted based off of what I thought was right. I think ultimately the majority of the constituency wants me to do that. And even if the small minority, but minority nonetheless, of voters in a Democratic primary disagree with me, and the slim majority of the voters disagree with me, the overwhelming majority of the voters in the Democratic primary would agree with the vote that I took because I voted based off of the right way to vote. And
I agree. And I think, I mean, I don't know, unless you're like, your constituency is a super woke constituency. I feel like it's almost more of an 80-20 thing. Even with the Democrats, like I feel like it's at least 60% are not really feeling this whole gender ideology thing and pushing it on children. I don't think it would be unless like you have a very progressive woke leftist. Because I think most Democrats they're quiet about it. I think most people behind closed doors are like, yeah, I think that's going a little too far. But I doesn't want to look like I hate gay people because everybody always conflates it with hating gay people, hating LGBTQ.
Exactly.
But I don't think most people are like, especially if they knew the details, they are not. They would 100% agree with you. I think.
By the way,
before the details,
and anybody who talks to me about it, well, not anybody, I won't say anybody, but a lot of people who have spoken to me about it after the vote, they call me, they said, Jonah, I heard a headline that you supported an anti-trans piece of legislation. And I would talk to them I wouldn't just go, no, I didn't support an anti-trans legislation and then hang up the phone.
Lose my number.
I would exactly. I haven't said that to anybody yet, but
I'm just kidding.
I would slowly but surely I would go through why I voted the way that I did with them, and we'd have long or short conversations about why, and at the end of it plenty of them came away saying, you know what, I actually agree with you. And so people who originally called me to say that I disagree ended the call by saying that they agreed. And you said, Nick, it's because we were able to talk about it, as we were able to once people realize, oh, this isn't the bigoted Jonah Wheeler that I thought I was told that it was. It seems like he's actually approaching this from a level of compassion. He has respect for all people. He believes in equal rights under the law for every citizen who's protected of the Constitution. And that's an important thing. He's not a right-wing ideologue out there saying, let's ban gay people from the country. And I don't think, I think that there are a lot of people out there who would like to paint people who have questions or vote the way that I do as that, but it's simply not the case. And the more that they do that, the more they lose those people. And I think a lot of people behind closed doors feel the same way.
Definitely. I agree with that.
So I will say this, Paul shares your sentiment about Freaks and Geeks. He says it's the best show ever. and Paul also
is that a Judd Apatow show? I'm trying to remember who made this one.
I don't know. I never watched it. But Paul also says he's like, I'm just scared for you in a primary next year. It's why he asked. So
I think he's be all right.
No,
thank you, Paul. I'll admit, because it's late enough and I'm just talking here, I'm a little bit worried myself. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend, but I think that the worry is based off of something that's good. You know, I think it's good to be critical of the decisions that you make, even if you're confident about them in the legislature.
Yes.
It's good to be always questioning whether you're going to win or not, so that you're doing the best job that you can for your constituents.
Exactly.
And it's good to have people who keep your feet to the fire, even if you disagree with them vociferously on an issue. I want people to call me and say, Jonah, I really disagreed with you. And then I want to be able to talk to them about it and move forward. And if I lose, Paul, then I had 4 years in the legislature where we were able to do a whole bunch of really good things. And that's it. You know,
But see,
If you lose Jonah, I think you'll be back, because I think history is going to look very, 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 very kindly on that whole episode, that vote, and the whole episode afterwards. I think people are going to be like, oh, well, he was right about that shit, wasn't he? So you'll probably have a future, in another 4 years, or maybe in a federal level. I think the future is bright for you personally.
yeah. I said this earlier. Like Jonah, and see, this is the thing. I personally don't believe that. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about you for the exact same reason. You have an integrity and an authenticity that most people are looking for these
And they
days.
see it. And they see it.
Politicians. You are
Yeah.
22 years old, and you stood against one of the foremost issues of our time. For good, one of the foremost evil in my.
I do think it's a demonic force pushing this stuff, but
of our time. And you, as a 22-year-old young man, like your car insurance rates still suck, and you the temerity to stand against this, son, you are going to be remembered very, very well. I'm usually not one of these right side of history types. I'm not. I hate that phrase. But again, but just like Paul said here, you are a man of principle.
Well, thank you.
That is very, very rare. Not one time have I felt that you've answered every single one of my questions. You've answered every single one of Nick's questions. Like, I am quite happy with what I see. And your parents raised you right.
Yes, they did.
Your parents raised you right, and I thank God for them, and I thank God for you.
Thank God you didn't go to college, man. I'm so saying. I just feel like you'd be different if you did. You'd be coming out like believing all this stuff because you had a couple charismatic professors of a certain woke ideology, and you'd be like, well, it's a little more complicated than that, and it's like, like we'd be hearing that shit. But you maintained your common sense. You're a student of history, a student of wisdom, and it has served you well, man. You got to be careful in universities nowadays.
Could you imagine if that had happened to him? His locks would be blue, and I'd be pissed.
I'd cut him off. I'd have the Obama hair,
Yeah.
Oh no, not the gamer look. No,
he'd have the what's that guy's the Malcolm X guy from down south, the fro there. What's that guy's name?
Oh yeah, the
Pearson. Is that his name?
Justin Pearson, the
guy,
the Timu Malcolm X down there. Yeah,
I had a fro in my childhood, and it looked pretty good, but it was never as good as his. But I would have this sort of, and I'd speak with that southern accent where I'm really trying
preaching.
Like, boy, you come from the wilds of New Hampshire, okay? like stop playing, please. You're like, oh my God, this
people that try to play that stuff up. We're not nobody speaks with the Atlantic accent anymore. Honestly, come on, we all
Cory Booker tries that too sometimes, doesn't he?
I know. It's like, come on,
you're from Jersey.
Theater kids, it's like,
you're yes, exactly.
Oh, wait a minute. No, because I got some theater kids for that ass. See,
don't get him started with the clips, man.
Yeah, this is your theater kid right here. The exact opposite of Jonah of Jonah Wheeler. hostile government takeover, but you motherfuckers are singing and dancing.
Right, exactly. It's a catchy tune, though. That's a catchy tune. That one guy that's in there, I recognize the one guy that's in there from the K-Hive Twitter, the Kamala Harris K-Hive Twitter.
Yeah, Kenny, I know him too.
And he is,
wow.
He has just so much hatred and negativity in his heart every time I see a video of his, which isn't often anymore.
Well, how's the K-Hive doing right now, anyways?
And he's just,
are they still buzzing?
They're probably thinking to themselves that she's going to come back and win, and it's going to be great. And
they shouldn't think that.
I
gotta say,
that
is not a smart thing to think.
But
it really is
a great video. That was great. That was great.
It's a favorite of the show.
I didn't. Usually, I follow that up with.
It's a direction you can fuck.
People's champ, The Rock.
The greatest clip of the greatest 3-second clip of all time. Jonah, what are you? I want to thank you again for coming by. What are you? Are you working on anything at the moment? Anything you want to? Anything you want to promote or anything that you want to talk about? The floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you again for having me on. You guys are the first sort of real long form podcast that I've done in a long while here, and it's been great to sort of make a return to the public eye, so to speak. I'm not on social media, as I mentioned earlier. I make occasional posts, which is what I'm working on right now, is getting my website back up and running to the point where it's all new and fancy. I build my website myself, and I'm just sort of taking the time this summer to go back in, and I bought a new website builder, so I'm relearning all the things that I learned already. So I'm building a website which will have a compilation of all, as my last website did, but this one will be a much better navigation of all the different legislation I've sponsored and co-sponsored, all the different videos which I'm highlighting on my website of speeches that I've given out in the community and on the House floor and in testimony, and my biography and contact information and a bunch of other things, events and other things that I'm doing that I keep updated on the website. I don't do social media, but I do try to keep my website updated. So, follow along at jonahwheeler.com in about 2 days or something like that once I'm done with a couple of last minute things, and look at my Instagram and Facebook and Twitter if you so choose, although I don't post there, and I don't really monitor the DMs there. My phone number is 603-831-9916. That's how, Isaiah, you got in contact with me, and how anybody can get in contact with me.
That was me, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. No, but I will.
No,
but anybody, Isaiah, Nick, anybody can get in contact with me at 603-831-9916. It's my phone number. Goes right to my phone. And we don't have any staff here in New Hampshire. It's me, myself, and my phone. So I really enjoy any conversation that comes about, or any request for coffee or getting on the show or anything like that. I don't have anything to promote right now. Our legislative filing period is in September. We have a week in September to file our different pieces of legislation. Mm-hmm. The issues that I've worked on in the time being in the legislature go far beyond just the speeches I've given on the transgender issue. I've served on the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee, and currently serve on the Environment and Agriculture Committee, where we're dealing with issues on the landfills in our state and how the waste management industry has a lot of control over the regulatory.
What are you guys doing about cow farts in New Hampshire?
Cow farts is not a concern of the legislative committee here in New Hampshire. Thank God.
You don't have anybody out there fanning them, or
nobody's come to the committee and said we got to ban cows. Nobody's come to the committee said we got to. It's been I think we only had 3 pieces of legislation come out of my committee with a partisan vote, which we're all 20 of us were very proud of, or all 17 of us are very proud of. We were able to, even in a Republican legislature, work in a very bipartisan way on the different issues facing our state: food regulation, landfill concerns, and all these other different things. And there's issues around criminal penalties and criminal policy, which I care a lot about, making sure our bail system doesn't keep people in jail just because they can't afford bail, because they can't afford it. making sure that that I could go on and on and on and on and on. Look at my website; you'll see all the different issues that I'm working on. But the legislation which I'm working on in this next year should be around education, funding, some of the different budgetary issues that we have in the state, and maybe some smaller little historical changes which we can make from the legislative perspective. It'll be interesting. I'll have more information about that in the end of September. But no, it was a pleasure spending Sunday night with you both, and really appreciate the conversation. And I hope I didn't get myself in too much trouble. I know I can kind of go on and on and on, and then next thing I know, someone says, "Jonah, you said this," and I say, "Well, I meant to say that, but let me, you know."
Hey, the truth will set you free, brother.
Exactly.
Young man, don't ever apologize for speaking the truth.
That's exactly right.
Entire world, when the entire world says 2 + 2 = 5, you be that one that says 2 + 2 = 4. It will always equal 4, and it has always equaled 4. Even if you have millions and billions and even trillions of dollars spent on this massive evil or whatever the next evil is, because you got a lot of life left in you, young man. Do not ever apologize for telling the truth. Never apologize for standing on the truth.
Well, that was one of the most important lessons of my early adolescence. Was whenever we had, there was a couple of moments where life seemed a little bit fleeting, and it made you realize the mortality that all of us have, and that even if you're young and with a lot of life ahead of you, you might. No day is guaranteed. No hour, no second, no minute is guaranteed in the world.
Amen.
And so you might as well live in truth. If you want to be here on this plane of existence, which we find ourselves in, you got to tell the truth. You got to live truth, and you got to be truth. And the more you don't, the more you atrophy yourself to the point where you can't sleep at night. So
yes, the truth is sacred to me, man.
It is absolutely.
That's why freedom of speech is sacred to me as well.
Absolutely.
Congressman, thank you.
Thank you
so much for coming on board. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you once again State Representative Jonah Wheeler. Thank you again.
Huge honor, man.
Thank you.
Follow him, man.
Thank you right there.
You guys can follow Jonah at Jonah O Wheeler on
Jonah
X.
O Wheeler on X.
Jonah, please come on again, man. Whenever you want to talk
I would
about
love
something,
to.
you want something to promote. If you're like, hey, man, I'm running for this, running for that. I'm trying to get some awareness about this. Please reach out to us. We'd love to have you on again. Or if you ever just want to hang out and talk.
You
are. We don't have too many friends, man. We just like anybody wants to talk to us. We're happy.
Our plan.
What are you doing? What are you doing on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, before one last thing, because I really got to know, like, food wise, what are you guys known for up there?
Well, I think our main export food wise is probably maple syrup, but we have a lot of different crops here in the state. You'd be surprised, a lot of different crops, but maple syrup is probably the one that we're most famous for. And if you ever get the chance to come in the winter time and come to a Ben's Sugar Shack, which is my local sugar shack, or any of the other sugar shacks that we have here in the state, and when you're driving up on the roads, you'll see the lines and you'll think to yourself, what are these blue lines in the woods? It's sugar farming. They're farming tap, and they'll come out with their trucks and pick them up and bring them in. And in the winter time, you can go, and it's one of the warmest things you can do in the winter. You go into the nice little wooden shacks that they have, heat it up, and the big vats of syrup that exist, and then they'll scoop you a hot little cup of syrup, and you can put some snow on it and then eat the syrup.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Fantastic.
That's something to do as a tourist over there.
Oh yeah.
They don't make you any like flapjacks, any pancakes over there?
Right.
Oh, they do. These sugar houses have some of the best pancakes in the country.
I bet you they're really good. Yeah.
I'd be going for that breakfast for sure. Barns across the country, across the state, and everything.
Breakfast barns, bro. We got and
I'm going. We're gonna sleep over. We're sleeping over. Representative
Josh
Jonah Wheeler.
Our friend Joshua Slocum of the Disaffected podcast. Shout to him. He's in Vermont, so like,
perfect.
I smell a New England field trip, Nick.
I'm sure his gay ass would want me to sleep over his place. Josh has a great sense of humor, so that's not a friend
of ours.
I don't think that's offensive too. I think he'd laugh.
He's not. No, the Jonah.
The People's Republic of Vermont has maple syrup too, but it's nowhere near as good.
That's what I heard. That's what I've been told.
Jonah, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you both. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
We really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Huge honor, brother.
Huge honor. Thank you. What a guy, man.
That was great. That was really great.
What a guy, dude.
That was really good.
I really have to say, we've been doing this show like what, since February? Well, January. We've been doing this show since
around that,
January, February, before we named it
Apostate Radio.
And all that. Like this, I got hope for the future, man.
Yeah.
With guys like him,
dude. I look. I know we're I don't want to glaze Jonah too much, but we're I do see a future national.
I do too.
Political career for him, and from there, we might even talk to a future president. Who knows, man?
It might be. You know what?
He's only freaking. Was he 22? It's
22. Like I said, this guy can't even get good car insurance rates yet.
Tremendous integrity and wisdom for a kid his age. So I mean, I don't think that decision, that vote is gonna, or even doing a podcast with us like this, I don't think that's gonna harm him whatsoever. I think it's not at all. I think it's the opposite.
Not at all. I think I think right now, if something that I've been talking that we've discussed before, people are looking for authenticity.
100%.
Okay,
that's right.
People are looking. Here's what you got to understand. The expectation these days is inauthenticity. You are expected to be inauthentic.
Yes.
You are expected,
sadly, yes,
to be fake, to be phony, to be a liar, to be a fraud. There is something like you are expected to have that. That's why there are so many inwardly directed and narcissistic people, because when the expectation is to be inauthentic, when the expectation is when you know you're inauthentic, when you know you're fake, when you know you're phony, you get worried. You get very, very, very protective of your self-image. And for that young man at the age of 22 to not be concerned about any of that gives me much, much hope for the future. I think our younger political class, at least up there in New Hampshire, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a little bit of that from a lot of Gen Z, like younger Gen Z. It seems like a lot of them are coming back to God. A lot of them are rejecting kind of like the woke indoctrination. You see that a lot. A lot of them are more conservative, and as they should be, because I think the left has just gone too far. So, I do see a lot of promise. I don't know if I've seen. Yeah, it's very impressive as a young politician to do what he did, because there is, immediately there is a huge backlash from your own party. Like that could cost him his seat in the meantime. It could. I don't think it will, but it could. So that is a big risk. But I think the future will be, like we said. I think it's whether he might have he might just be moving on to the federal level then. And people are going to see what he did. They're going to, like, again, history is going to look kindly on him. So whether it's now or 4 years from now or 8 years from now, I bet you he'll be back if he loses his seat.
I do believe that. I do believe that.
I'd put money on it.
A couple things before. Matter of fact, I already have a couple people on here saying Jonah Wheeler is awesome. Jamie Reed liked our post. I'm just going through like all the mentions on Instagram. Jamie Reed was the one who shot the video of Jonah Wheeler's struggle session.
Oh,
fantastic! Great. This guy is fantastic.
Excellent.
And I greatly appreciate Jamie Reed for being there, taking that.
Yeah,
we want to go in a different direction before we go.
Sure.
I guess a couple of mentions of sports. We got to do the sports. DC United got a point yesterday. 1-1 draw And I want to just give a quick shout out to a young man who is a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine, and Kareen also like he knows us from like social media and stuff. Young Jackson Hopkins, midfielder, number 25, got his very first MLS goal ever last night. Only goal of the night. And I wanted to just shout him out. He's doing incredible things. He came back from a couple of injury setbacks earlier this year, and it's good to see him finally like getting moving and getting going. Also, this guy, Taxi Funtas, plays for Ofi over in Crete out in Greece. Got a brace yesterday. 2 goals. It was incredible. But that's not the well, first of all, shout to Taxi. Love you. Who God bless, no man curse. But that's not the real reason why like those two. I just wanted to shout them out real quick. But a guy who I don't necessarily agree with had a very, very good point about soccer culture in general. We've spoken a lot about soccer culture in the United States. We've talked about how we've talked a lot about how American soccer culture is very much woke. It is very anti, like is very anti right wing, if you want to say. It's very anti. They're very much addicted to gatekeeping the sport rather from anyone else. Okay, and hold on, here we go. I wanted to bring this up because earlier this week, Ben Fast, who is a little bit obsessed with this whole.
I remember Ben Fest. He was part of the. He's one of what the hell's that guy's name? The ProRel guy.
That's him. ProRel.
No, there's another guy though. Ted Westerville, is that his name? Tinfoil Ted. He was one of his ProRel disciples, I think.
Yeah, again, do I think that ProRel is ever going to happen in the United States? I don't. I don't think. Well, it's happening with USL.
I think that's enough. I think that. I mean, look, ProRel could be really cool, but I think you got to protect the investors because they put a lot of money into it, and they could lose a lot of money.
Exactly.
They get relegated. So if they could figure out a way to give them a golden parachute down the USL or something like that, USL 1, USL 2 or something, that could be really interesting.
You ain't gonna tell fucking Mohammed Mansour, who paid $500 million.
About Sheikh Mansour,
the guy who paid a $500 million franchise fee to start San Diego FC.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the New York City FC.
Yeah. You tell that fucking guy that we're introducing promotion relegation after I just spent $500 million to start a league. That would benefit. You know who promotion relegation would it would backfire on them, but you know who it would help? It would help the founding clubs. The founding clubs of MLS are serious. Okay. But a lot of these founding clubs aren't. A lot of these founding clubs are brokies who are over leveraged. But anyways, we could go into that all day.
Yeah.
Ben Fast talked about this, and he basically said something that we've been serious about, that we've been talking about for months. Okay. He says, and I quote, no, he says, MLS is not geared for the soccer serious mainstream population in America. The soccer serious crowd just pays attention to real club soccer from abroad. a bit Euro snobbish, but then when you show this video here, I mean, you kind of have a point, right?
Oh, New England, other way, other way, other way, other way,
These freaking eunuchs.
oh, New England, other way, other way, oh, back to sway.
Wow.
I mean, that's unfair because some of these kids I'm sure are good kids and they just want to try to recreate the soccer supporter, that they see abroad, and I appreciate that because I really thought that was important. But there is something about that display where it's just like it's so like kind of like soy boy, inauthentic, lacks that energy that you get from Europe, that like masculine. It really is usually a very masculine, like powerful roars from the chants and this everybody singing in unison. It's part of what holds MLS back, and of course, what you're going to talk about especially is having a fucking trans queer whatever flag waving in the front, and it's like that pushes away a lot of anybody who doesn't want to see kids getting castrated and mutilated or perverts in women's rooms. So
of course, an old friend of mine, and I use friend very loosely, Pablo Maurer, Aaron Maurer, whatever the fuck.
Speaking of eunuchs.
Yeah, speaking of eunuchs, the guy could troon out at any moment. That fucking guy.
Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like he's on the way.
Yeah, he does. I think if he grows his hair out like another inch,
yeah,
he'll be Paula.
I don't get what he doesn't get, man. Like,
no, listen, he's one of these guys. Again, a lot of the people in MLS, and I'm saying this. I'm saying league wide. I remember when Andrew Wiebe, when they were doing Extra Time remote, okay? When Extra Time was a show that looked a lot like this one, okay? Two guys, a bunch of people in different states. They had initially like a studio set up. And then once COVID came around, that's when they were doing everything remote. Like I said, it looked like this show.
Extra Time that's the MLS in-house podcast, right? With Wiebe and Matt Doyle.
Yeah, it was Wiebe,
guys,
Matt Doyle, David Goss, like the three of the soyest motherfuckers you'll ever meet, right?
Indeed,
yeah,
especially Doyle. Did we just jinx that?
I got a wood yes, bro.
So now you guys know we're telling the truth. We both said it at the same time.
Doyle's got more soy in him than a sushi spot.
That's true.
But anyways, but the thing about MLS is filled to the brim with leftists. We've talked about this before. We've talked about how the growth of the game is limited because of the sheer amount of politics. The leftist politics, and it's inundated everything. No one wants to go to MLS matches because it's Pride Night every fucking night.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. Yeah,
no one wants to go. So of course here goes Paula. Here goes Paula Maurer. Counterpoint. Well, no, wait a minute. No. His voice is counterpoint. Who fucking cares? Let people enjoy what they enjoy. How do the people in this video affect you in any way, shape, or form? Jesus, man, this shit is exhausting. Again, to which you had a fantastic reply. I had another reply that we'll talk about. But you said, is this still showing here?
No, it's not showing.
No, it's not. It's not. Shit. Okay. So, God, all sorts of disorganized here. You said it's not so much how the people and what that child predation trans flag represents affect me, but how they potentially affect millions of confused, often mentally ill or autistic children. What the fuck do you trans cult members not get about that? And then you say something else. You said this is the brutal reality of what support of this trans/gender flag means, featuring Carrie Smith. And you did this.
Who we just had on a couple episodes ago, by the way. You guys should check that out.
Oh, yes. Shout to Carrie Smith. We love you, baby.
That was a great episode.
That was a fantastic
Carrie Smith
episode. And then I think you had one more, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I shouted my boy out, Isaiah L. Carter, a couple times.
This is the predatory, pseudoscientific, perverse, gender-affirming care people like you self-righteously celebrate, Paul Lamauer. And they said here, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, the things we talked about tonight. And then I came out with a video. I'm not going to play this video because it's like 9 minutes long. But but I also had my own thing where I said the post I'm referring to, Ben, and then I said the leftists who have monopolized the culture of Major League Soccer are LGBTQIAP plus obsessed. Meanwhile, if you have the wrong political beliefs, they'll get you fucking trespassed from the stadium. This guy, and we didn't, we were meaning to talk about this, and this is how we tie it in. This guy, a couple weeks ago, at a St. Louis City SC match, got trespassed out of the stadium for wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah, and you know that wasn't organic. Like the guards saw him. Somebody complained. Somebody bitched. One of these intolerant leftist assholes, fucking totalitarian leftist assholes, said, "Nope, you're not allowed to wear that here. Get the fuck out of here. Like it's my house."
Some Stasi motherfucker either in their supporter section, or and I'm gonna tell you this, because I know a few of them in Audi Field. They got snitches even that don't sit in the Chico stand.
Yep.
A lot of leftists who don't sit in the Chico stand, dude. Like someone I know who.
Let's get rid of this Nazi.
Like, let's get rid of this.
Fuck this Nazi.
I'm gonna tell this story real quick, right? Because I think it's relevant to this point. At the home opener, back in February, the one that I went to down in Audi Field.
Yeah.
They started singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing."
Right.
Somebody sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing," and they literally they didn't call it the Black National Anthem. But here's the thing: as a black man of a certain age, okay, I'm approaching my mid-40s. I remember when "Lift Every Voice and Sing" was something that was sung in a Baptist church. And that was it. But because everybody got on this quote unquote anti-racist kick, where now we have to pander to blacks at every chance, at every opportunity, we got to sing, lift every voice and sing, and then call it, and then they do what a lot of black folk do, and they'll say, well, this is the Black National Anthem. Fuck that. This is the United States of America. Our national anthem is the Star-Spangled Banner. I do not recognize Lift Every Voice and Sing as the quote-unquote Black National Anthem. That is a song that should have stayed in the church. It should not be sung at sporting events.
And also, let's be clear, 99.9% of black people do not ask for anybody to be singing that at sporting events either. So before everybody starts to say, oh, well, no, that's horseshit.
So anyways, I screamed out as like when everything was quiet. I said, "We are not pets. Enough already."
Mascots.
I screamed that at the top of my lungs, and I said,
that's right.
"Enough already." And there was this guy who got mad at that. And then the performance of the national anthem. I sung the national anthem because I saw him and he was whispering, it was like where's this guy who just shut the fuck up? I saw him. He was making gestures. So you know what I did? I sung the national anthem loud as I fucking could. Bitch. I'ma sing the stars.
He was probably pissed too.
Oh my God. Oh, he was. And then I looked at him and I even said to him, I dare you do something. I told him that. Do something. Because here's the thing: ain't nobody gonna stop me from singing the national anthem. What the fuck you gonna do? You gonna tell me I can't be there? You gonna tell me I can't sing along to the national anthem?
But that's not your national anthem. You're black.
So, anyways, but this guy here, this happened like about 3 weeks ago. Got
So
fucking
stupid.
trespassed from a game.
Horse
And,
shit, man.
and here it is.
The intolerant
Major
left,
League
man.
Soccer, you want to listen, if you want to shrink down to the size of to where basically you're doing like Savannah Bananas, where people are just figuring out who the fuck you are, here you go. Keep doing this.
I just want to make sure I get this. Yeah, what's up? So I'm Michael Weitzel. I'm being asked to leave by the police because of Donald Trump. Hey, I'm a Donald Trump. Yeah, Trump fan. Yes, I am. So I just want
all these coppers you got to deal with them negative, but they don't do not political here. They don't want any kind of political.
So those flags over there, those are pre-approved. Those flags over there, those aren't
Pre-approved. Think of that, guys. Pre-approved.
Good luck getting a pre-approved MAGA flag or something, or Trump flag. Good luck getting a pre-approved American flag nowadays in there.
A pre-approved Israel flag.
Yeah.
You want to? Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah,
you want to play those games, Don Garber?
Yeah, good luck with that shit.
You want to go?
But that would make somebody angry and feel a certain way.
Oh, let me guess. You only care about you care about those soft troon those troons and their apologists. You only care about them in the stands because they're going to show up as long as you keep reflecting their politics back onto them. You keep doing what they want you to do every single time, then you might get blessed by Grant Thornton or some of these other organizations who are still some of these other private equity firms who are still giving out ESG money, even in the Trump 47 era. I've talked about this. You want to keep doing this? Because here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Stories like this, the more stuff like this happens, the less MLS is going to shrink next to nothing. Let me keep this going. I'm wanting to talk about this.
So my question to you guys is, are these rules equally enforced on everybody?
Here's my question to you.
And the only way I can do that is if I enforce it with you. Go out and handcuff. So I'm being threatened with arrest. What law am I breaking? What am I? Well, we ask you to leave. You're asking me to leave. Am I being evicted from the premises? You're being evicted from the premises. You want to make a big? Okay. We're gonna walk up. I'm being evicted from the premises because of Donald Trump. Because we can't wear Donald Trump hats in public, and so now I'm being evicted from the premises. We need a big procession to get me out of here. Trump is not
fucking terrorists. Think of that. They're already showing you, folks. So the crowd, the crowd's okay with this.
Yep.
People in the crowd, probably the ones who dimed this poor dude out.
Yeah.
Right? Here we go.
People are cheering and talking shit.
Yeah.
Welcome in St. Louis City SC Club.
It's pretty un-American, man.
Here.
Can't even wear a hat supporting the president.
I'm giving Mac, you guys. We're the ones. I'm trying. I know we're the ones who don't complain about everything you cry about. I know. But if we're gonna do this,
we don't want. Oh, you just take the hat off and go back there.
If I take the hat off, I can go back there.
Yeah.
We're already past that. We're past that.
You already gave that chance to?
No, that's fine.
Just for this game.
Just for this game. Okay.
That's crazy.
He gets it. He's just following the rules. It's not his fault. But this is the stadium's rules here. Thank you, sir. Hey. So that's what happens if you wear a Donald Trump hat to a St. Louis City Soccer Club game. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, keep doing that, guys. Keep doing that. Don Garber, keep doing that. Okay? Keep that up. Keep it up. Seriously, keep doing that. Because you're going to chase off every single person who might think of going to a Major League Soccer match, of supporting American soccer. Keep pandering to these leftists. You will not have a league anymore. Keep doing it. There are not enough people there are not enough of these soft soy, the testosterone deficient supporters. There aren't enough of them to keep the lights on in your buildings, especially when you have these franchise owners, these new ones, paying $500 million in franchise fees to open up this to just open up business.
Yeah.
An organization like DC United, you know why they'll do it? Because Jason Levian's only worth $190 million. He needs all the fucking ESG money he can get to keep the lights on in the place. You cannot, so he's got to pander. He's got to get those people in, because guess what? DC United have been so bad that the crowds aren't coming in anymore. The crowds are not coming in. DC United haven't won a game in 10 matches. It's been almost 3 months since the last time they won a game. And I love those. I love my club. I love DC United. I love the players. I love some of the players. I love the staff there. I love I know people on this club, and I only say this out of love. This is not this is not good business. You cannot dictate what kind of customers come to your stadium. All money's green.
Yeah.
But anyways,
as Michael Jordan said, man, Republicans wear Jordans too.
Republicans wear Jordans too.
Yeah. Because
I swear to God, bro, after the home opener, right?
Michael Jordan's worth a lot of money now.
So as I'm walking back, as we're walking back to our car, because I actually lucked out and found a parking space like close by. It was like, I couldn't believe it. I see this guy. I swear he was someone I know in the stands. Guy had on an Progress Pride flag, was wearing it like a fucking cape. And he had a sign, a little cardboard sign that you could tell it was small. It was like just a small piece of cardboard. And I'm telling you, probably had it shoved up his ass. And it said "Abolish Doge" on it. This is from February. It had "Abolish Doge" on it.
Okay.
An old white liberal who probably making $300,000-400,000 a year. You know, and he's got a sign on with the LGBTQ IAP flag as a cape.
Mm-hmm.
But again, keep pandering to those people. Keep failing in your fiduciary duties.
Double standards, man.
You cannot keep doing this. You cannot keep doing this, MLS. You can't.
So you can't wear a hat or have anything that supports the president of the United States, but you can have a flag that supports sterilizing, mutilating, castrating children.
Fuck all that.
That makes sense.
Fuck all that. Forget. Damn that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Damn that. You can have this. That's from last year. You had when DC United, when Levian took the club to Saudi Arabia to go train for the preseason. Okay? These wokies went nuts. Do you hear me? They went crazy. The whole sports washing nonsense and everything, right? They had portraits of Jamal Khashoggi plastered all over the Chico stand. Remember Khashoggi? They had a portrait up. They could smear that. I have videos, not just from this past year, but from like 3-4 years ago, where they've got the same people waving the trans flag, the Progress Pride flag, all sorts of stuff. The leftist messaging is rampant. But one guy wears a MAGA hat and you trespass him out of your stadium. Again, not good business, especially if you want to make it another 30 years. And the NFL needs to wake up too, because the NFL, listen, y'all are already on thin ice with a lot of people. People, I'm dead serious. People stopped watching football altogether when that whole foolishness with Colin Kaepernick started.
Yep. And it used to be America's game, and now it's becoming like became like a woke game, and that's anti-American. I mean, wokeness is anti-American, like to the fucking core. So,
wokeness is anti-Western culture.
Yep. Exactly.
Anything that can be done to queer American civilization, anything that can be done to utterly confuse and dismantle America,
shame and dismantle. Yep,
they're going to do it.
That's what it represents. That's what it does.
You know what shames the National Football League? This sudden influx of male cheerleaders.
Goodness, it's just what everybody wanted.
No one asked for this. No one asked for this.
That's a fact.
No one asked for this. It was bad enough that we had all the Black Lives Matter messaging and end racism, stop hate, and all this. It takes all of us. What it takes all of us. What is it? What is it?
Takes all of us to believe a load of bullshit to make it seem like it's real.
Again, you already have this feminization kick with guys like Caleb Williams. He can't throw a fucking football to save his life, but because he's a quarterback, he wears multicolored, he wears like different colored nail polish, and he's a little gay or a little effeminate. Oh, you're gonna laud him up. You're gonna laud over him. You did this with Michael Sam. It didn't work. You did, NFL, you did this with Michael Sam. Michael Sam was slow. He was undersized for the position of linebacker. He couldn't make it past the practice squad with the Dallas Cowboys, but y'all fawned all over him because he kissed his boyfriend on national television on ESPN. You did this already. Why are you doing this again? I don't get it, but you know what? That's what it is. Anyways, that's our time. It was a great show.
Yes.
That was something I've been meaning to get off my chest for the longest. I am sick and tired of this infestation of sport, of video games, of all this. I am done with the hyper-politicization of everything. It doesn't have to be this way. This whole thing, and I love when these assholes go, well, sport has always been political.
Yes.
Sport has always been political because life just doesn't, like nothing exists until they show up. History doesn't begin until they say it does. Fuck you.
And it's always one political side that's allowed to be political. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
It's like it's not like everybody has a chance to share their voice. No, they don't.
No,
they don't. You get thrown out of the fucking game if you're wearing a MAGA hat. You get thrown out of if you complain about somebody kneeling during the national anthem or whatever. It's like you're a hateful bigot or some shit.
Exactly.
It's like, no, you're not. Lexi Lawless, a former guest of ours on the show. You guys should check out that episode. He gets constantly people just for subtle questioning of of leftist shit or subtle support of America, politics or the Trump administration, something like that. Very reasonable, very moderate. He has 100 people tweeting below him that you're a piece of shit. You're a freaking MAGA fascist. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Before 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, constantly. So and the same thing happened to all of us.
Nonsense at him before. Lawless lives in California. Tweeting nonsense at him before the sun comes up.
Yeah, for having a different political view, a totally reasonable political view, but it's not the accepted one. And this is from the quote unquote tolerant left.
The tolerant left.
But you get thrown out of the game for wearing a fucking MAGA hat. Well, these guys are waving flags that promote castrating kids.
Make it make sense. And they think, and again, and I'm gonna say this directly to DC United, because I know that if I'm not mistaken, I think their Pride Night is this upcoming Saturday.
Wouldn't they have that shit in June? Like why is there Pride Nights throughout the year and a Pride Month? Like, I don't get it.
You know why?
Oh yeah, I do know why.
You know why?
That was a double
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
Thank you, Admiral Doubtfire. Appreciate it.
Admiral Doubtfire. That motherfucker never. I am convinced he never took off that uniform. I think he still has it on right now, today, tonight, right
and
now.
I bet he wears underwear with dick holes in them too.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We thank you for watching, for consuming our content, to use the vernacular of the day. Next week.
Ooh, what we got next week?
We got Michael Young, aka Vocal Distance.
Oh,
coming on to the show. And also, I can confirm that we will be having that the Queen Apostate will be making her triumphant turn next Sunday.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice episode there. Nice combo.
Evan Barker will be joining the show, and I cannot wait to have her back.
Long awaited, man. We missed her.
Long awaited. She again, and I say Queen Apostate because she
La Reina.
We're coming up on her 1 year anniversary of that viral video she put together where she said deuces to the Democrats.
1 year anniversary of becoming an apostate.
Yes. So
Democrat Party.
So we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna have a celebration to next week, guys.
Ooh, maybe I have to sip a little bit.
We might
have to drink a little bit.
I mean, I'm sipping on something right now. Oh, last thing.
I'll drink a little whiskey.
I want to thank.
Ooh, look at that ting.
My wife introduced me to this Jamaican delight ting.
The ting.
It's a sparkling grapefruit beverage. It is.
That looks good.
Good. It is
good.
Good.
I love Jamaican ginger beer too, by the way. Shout out
you
to
do?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I had that before. It's good.
All right. Well, thank you all again for watching, for listening. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you again next weekend, next Sunday. We thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Indeed. Thanks, guys.